Douluo, my Sharingan isn't very proper. Hey. Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction. So don't try any techniques you hear here in real life, your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 26, Shoulder Biting, I Want to See You. Pale and fear replaced her smile. Xiao, why would a titled Douluo want to kill you? Because he's Tang San's father, Yichu told her truthfully. He was going to take her away today. What? Tang San's father? Xiao Wu's eyes widened, her body trembling at the thought that her identity had been exposed. Biting her lip, she forced herself to calm down, nervously grabbing Yichu's arm, her concern for him more pressing. Xiao, are you alright? A blessing in disguise. My martial soul has evolved again, but, he paused, staring intently at Xiao Wu. But what? Xiao Wu avoided Yichu's eyes, not daring to look at him. But, silly rabbit, shouldn't you worry about yourself first? Buzz. Thud. Hearing Yichu's words, Xiao Wu seemed to lose her senses, unable to breathe, her head buzzing, even dropping the carrot in her hand. Xiao, what are you saying? She was somewhat panicked, tears welling up in her eyes. Yichu sighed, calmly looking at her. Actually, I knew your identity from the very beginning, a 100,000-year-old soul beast in human form. Xiao Wu swayed precariously on the stool, terrified. She was afraid her identity would be exposed, even more afraid that Yichu would despise her, hate her, and leave her. Xiao, I didn't mean to deceive you, Xiao, Before she could finish speaking, Yichu took action, making his move and ending his days of waiting passively. He stood up, pulled Xiao Wu up, and pressed himself against her face to face. He grabbed her hand, intertwined their fingers, and pulled her into his embrace. Xiao Wu didn't resist. She had lost count of how many times Yichu had dodged her kisses before. All she needed to know was that this was the first time Yichu had kissed her proactively, and that was enough. That made her happy. Yichu, a complete novice, had never experienced such intimate contact before. He was panting heavily when they separated. He didn't let her leave his embrace, their foreheads touched, their noses brushed together, and he looked down at her. Look into my eyes. Before she could process what was happening, Xiao Wu, her eyes glazed over, tilted her head back and met his blood-red gaze. Yichu didn't want to waste any more words explaining the whole story. Using the Sharingan's Genjutsu, he conveyed to her everything he knew, Tang Hao's plan to turn her into Tang San's soul ring and soul bone, and his experiences over the past few days. These images were interspersed with Yichu's inner thoughts. After a moment, Xiao Wu, having processed all this information, was not surprised but delighted. Xiao cares about me. She squinted her eyes, looking at him softly, smiling sweetly. What are you laughing at? Nothing. I saw something interesting. Yichu didn't think much of it, assuming she was referring to the Ape King, that unfortunate soul who had suffered so much. Xiao Wu tiptoed, raised her lips, and gently touched Yichu's lips. I've always believed what you said, of course. I promised I'd protect you, I'd die before you. Xiao Wu pursed her lips, her eyes filled with sadness. Well, but this time I can't go with you. Yichu was astonished, releasing her and loudly questioning. What do you mean? Why won't you leave Nodding City with me? Yichu didn't understand. Do you think I'd kill you to take your soul bone? No. I didn't. Hearing this, Xiao Wu became agitated, quickly waving her hands to indicate she had never thought of that. How could I think that? If Xiao really needs it, I've said I'd get whatever Xiao wants for you. Xiao Wu looked at him seriously. I don't need your soul ring, much less your soul bone, and I won't let that happen. Yichu turned his back, no longer looking at her, feeling somewhat angry. Reason? What's your reason for staying? Xiao Wu grabbed his arm. Where will Xiao go if she leaves Nodding City? Yichu was about to speak, but Xiao Wu interrupted him first. You're going to find the immortal herb, right? He nodded, not surprised that Xiao Wu could guess that. After all, Xiao Wu wasn't really stupid. What does it matter? Where's the immortal herb? Is anyone guarding it? Xiao Wu answered again, not giving Yichu a chance to speak. I think there might be a title Douluo there too. Faced with Xiao Wu's guess, Yichu nodded. That place was quite close to the 7 treasure glazed tile school and the Heaven Dao Imperial City. Moreover, the ice and fire yin-yang well belonged to poison Douluo Douluo, but this was not Xiao Wu's reason for staying here. I have a divine might space, you can stay inside. Knowing her personality well, Yichu added, I can often accompany you and let you out when I have time. I don't want that, Xiao Wu will be bored to death. Besides, Tang Hao already knows my identity, you are already dead in his eyes. What if he finds out your location? Xiao Wu stepped forward and hugged him, slowly explaining her reasons. I'll stay here to help Xiao Qiu distract him. My safety will be guaranteed until Tang-san grows stronger. If we encounter other title Daoluos, Tang Hao will be my free bodyguard. Hearing Xiao Wu's words, Yichu rubbed his temples. He was still too weak. His smugness at activating his dual divine powers had subsided, and his slightly arrogant heart settled down once more. His next stop was the Heaven Dao Imperial City. The porcupine, the snake spear, and the other 3, bone, sword, and poison, behind Jinriksu were indeed a dragon's den for a soul beast. I need to think about it some more. Yichu hesitated, afraid his resolve was wavering. Okay, Xiao Wu nodded heavily. Xiao Qiu's choice was irrelevant to her. She had already made her decision. Staying here wasn't just for Xiao Qiu's peace of mind, but also to make the Tang family father and son pay the price. So what if he was a title Douluo? If he couldn't beat his father, then the son would pay for the father's sins. Besides, Tang-san had long harbored murderous intent towards Yichu. Since he liked her, she would make good use of him and torment him. A fierce glint flashed in Xiao Wu's eyes. Anyone who harmed Xiao Qiu deserved to die. But the fierceness in Xiao Wu's eyes vanished instantly when Yichu looked at her. She was simply Xiao Qiu's obedient little rabbit. By the way, Xiao Wu, this ring is for you. Yichu took out an exquisite box and retrieved a ring. For me, Xiao Wu stared at the pink gemstone, unable to look away. Yes, this is a soul tool Grandma Tom gave me. I'm giving it to you now. Yichu had already checked it, 10 cubic meters, large enough. He took her small hand and solemnly placed the ring on her ring finger. Thank you, Xiao Qiu, I love it. After giving Yichu his seal, she turned her palm over, admiring it. There's also an external soul bone inside. Absorb it. Yichu had already made up his mind. Xiao Wu understood that this was Yichu's final request and dared not refuse. After she absorbed the soul bone and learned its function, Yichu's worries lessened. As they parted, Xiao Wu hugged him tightly. Xiao Wu has nothing to give Xiao Qiu, only, Yichu gasped as Xiao Wu bit his shoulder hard. Xiao Qiu, you must remember to come find me. Yes, I will. Wait for me. As soon as he finished speaking, Yichu escorted Xiao Wu to a small alley outside Nodding Academy. Xiao Qiu, I'm sorry, Xiao Wu murmured, looking at the sunset, touching the ring on her hand, and walking towards the academy with a smile. Chapter 27 Revenge. Yichu revealed himself on the other side, watching Xiao Wu leave. The 1,000-year external soul bone, remnant. After absorbing it, Xiao Wu's soul power level had reached 23. When used, a layer of resilient, transparent keratin would appear on the surface of her body, making it easy to defend against attacks from soul masters. According to her, it also seemed to have a certain absorption and conversion ability, absorbing the soul power from the opponent's attacks and converting it into her own to replenish her own consumption. Most importantly, it could allow one to be reborn through metamorphosis, like a python. Severe injuries were no problem, a metamorphosis would solve everything. The cooldown time was 3 years, compared to Snake Ant. This was only a weakened version. It truly lived up to its reputation as a coveted external soul bone for soul masters, possessing many functions. This reassured Yichu about Xiao Wu's decision to stay, at least giving her some self-protection ability. In fact, Xiao Wu had lied to Yichu to stay. The remnant also had another ability, biomimicry. It could conceal the aura of a soul beast on Xiao Wu's body. She didn't tell him that she didn't want to leave him, but she also didn't want to be a burden to him. She was furious at Tang Hao and his son for attacking him, and she was happy to do things for Yichu. Yichu, hidden in the shadows, watched Xiao Wu leave, his anger and resentment growing. The father and son had both been watching Xiao Wu intently, and now they were leaving like this. This isn't what I want. His eyes turned back towards Nodding Academy, the setting sun behind him. He was going to collect debts, even if it was just a little interest. Every day at this time, Tang San would go to Yu Xiaogang's room to study theoretical knowledge. At this moment, Tang San was sitting at his desk, studying Yu Xiaogang's so-called 10 core competencies of martial souls. In reality, these theories were just notes he had made while reading other people's books. What kind of research could a mere great soul master, expelled from his family, possibly do? He could only go to the countryside to investigate whether useless martial souls like Blue Silver Grass had any soul power. Would other slightly higher-level soul masters even bother with him? They were giving him too much face. Yi Qiu had already infiltrated the faculty dormitory. In the corridor, Yu Xiaogang carried a tray with dinner for himself and his beloved disciple. He had done this many times to give Tang San more time to study. Given Tang San's 3 heartfelt kowtows, he wasn't particularly impatient. Using his kaleidoscope ability, Yi Qiu peeked out from the ceiling, releasing pre-prepared animal defecation powder from his divine might space, sprinkling it down on Yu Xiaogang like fine dust. The powder evenly covered the food. Achoo! The powder in the air made Yu Xiaogang sneeze. Yi Qiu glanced at the food in front of him, feeling nauseous. He wondered how much Tang San had swallowed. The medicine was ready, now he just had to let things play out. A vortex appeared, and Yi Qiu disappeared from Nodding City. He had no expectations for the master and disciple's next move. He planned to return to Biao village first, then go to Holy Soul village to collect his interest from Tang Hao. Using the markers already made in a certain space outside the city, and relying on his divine power, the journey was very convenient. And he appeared here in just a few breaths. With a gentle breeze under his feet and the evening glow behind him, he slowly walked towards Biao village. Xiao-san, put down your food. Yu Xiao had just entered the room and hadn't even put down what she was holding when she called out to Tang San. Yes, teacher. Coming, Tang San put away his books. Yi Qiu's departure had relaxed him considerably. After all, in the vast Nodding Academy, who was still his rival? The master and disciple sat at the dining table like father and son. Tang San picked up his rice bowl, sniffed, as if he smelled something strange. Teacher, does this rice have a strange smell? Yu Xiao also sniffed. No, is it because you've been reading for too long and are experiencing olfactory hallucinations? Is that so? Tang San thought for a moment but couldn't figure it out. He didn't dwell on it too much and began to eat the dishes. His ex-2 Tang San, who was still thinking about how to please Xiao Wu that evening while eating, suddenly gasped. Yu Xiaogang did the same. The master and disciple exchanged a glance, immediately dropped their bowls and chopsticks, and ran outside. Because of Yu Xiaogang's early experiences, he had some phobia at things like outhouses, so there was no toilet in his room. In the outhouse on the first floor, the two were separated by a partition, Tang San on the left and Yu Xiaogang on the right, and the intermittent sounds of urination and defecation could be heard. Staying in this environment for a long time, Yu Xiaogang was a little scared, so he didn't hold the paper in his hand properly and accidentally dropped it on the ground. He immediately picked it up and blew on it. Whoosh whoosh, the sound of blowing carried to the stall on the right, where a teacher who was squatting was already in a bad mood because of constipation. He shouted directly, "What are you bragging about? Is the stuff in your pit going to burn your mouth?" Yu Xiaogang froze, the paper in his hand falling into the pit. His face flushed red. How can you slander someone like that? He was speechless with anger. Teacher, don't worry about it. Tang San's voice came from the side at just the right moment. Yu Xiaogang finally regained some composure. When he saw where the paper in his hand had gone, the events of more than 10 years ago began to replay in his mind, haunting him. He finally collapsed into the cubicle. Teacher. Yi Qiu, who was on his way, never imagined that he had only given Yu Xiaogang a little laxative and knocked him out, leaving Tang San to clean up his mess. Night deepened. Yi Qiu rode his 10-year-old soul beast, the iron-hoofed horse, which he had requisitioned from the forest. A blue-silver grass dangling from his mouth, he galloped home by moonlight. In dormitory 7, Tang San finally finished cleaning up the mess left by Yu Xiaogang and returned to his dormitory, exhausted. Even though he was tired, his gaze immediately fell on Xiao Wu as soon as he entered. Tang San suddenly noticed that Yi Qiu's bed next to Xiao Wu was missing. To avoid running into trouble again, he didn't ask Xiao Wu directly, but instead went to Wang Xing first. Wang Xing, what happened? Didn't Xiao Wu forbid anyone from touching Yi Qiu's things? If you make Xiao Wu angry, I'll deal with you, third brother, Wang Xing cried, his face contorted. Xiao Wu was the leader of Dormitory 7. How could he dare to offend her? Xiao Wu did it herself. What? Tang San's spirits lifted. Could it be that Xiao Wu had come to her senses? Was she going to forget about that good-for-nothing Yichu? Xiao Wu, who was sitting cross-legged on her bed, playing with her ring, had already noticed Tang San's return. From a distance, Xiao Wu called out to him, I threw Yichu's things. What? You have a problem with that? No, how could I? Xiao Wu, whatever you do is right. Tang San ignored Wang Sheng's slightly disdainful gaze, waving his hands frantically, a complete change from his previous demeanor. Really? It must be true. Nodding quickly, Xiao Wu was finally willing to talk to him. HMPH. I'm in a bad mood. Go get me a basin of water to wash my feet. Huh? What? You're not going? Then Wang Sheng, you go. Xiao Wu waved her hand dismissively, gesturing for Wang Sheng to hurry up. Wang Sheng. You stop right there, let go of that basin and let me have it. Tang San snatched the basin from Wang Sheng's hand and scurried off to fetch water. Watching Tang San's retreating figure, Wang Sheng's lips twitched, while Xiao Wu secretly sneered. What a toad trying to eat swan meat, ugly as he is. The revenge has only just begun. She stroked the ring on her finger. It was Yichu's stuff, and she couldn't bear to throw it away. Even the bed had been put away by Xiao Wu. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Warmth. Not long after, Tang San returned with a basin of water, quickly walked to Xiao Wu's bedside, and placed the basin on the ground. Having been in a state of intense passion for so long, he was somewhat weak, and just fetching some water made him break out in a cold sweat. Xiao Wu, I've brought back the water for washing your feet, thank you. Xiao Wu's voice was crisp, without even glancing at him. It's nothing, as long as you're happy. She didn't react to Tang San's affectionate gaze. Instead, she felt a little nauseous at this jerk staring at her feet. Tang San waited nearby. Xiao Wu's little feet slowly touched the water's surface and then abruptly withdrew. Hiss, you bastard. Hey, she glared at him angrily. Huh? What's wrong? Xiao Wu, Tang San, who had been engrossed in watching, was jolted awake. Why did you fetch cold water? What if you get sick? Xiao Wu removed her little feet and put them back in the blankets. It's okay, I'll take care of you if you get sick, so you deliberately fetched cold water? Xiao Wu frowned, looking at him coldly. How could that be? I'll go get some water right now. Tang San realized he had misspoke and quickly tried to make amends. HMPH, go ahead then. Xiao Wu laid down and stared at the ceiling. The second time, she got hot water, but Xiao Wu was still dissatisfied. She said it was too hot. And when she put on her shoes and said she wanted to do it herself, Tang San objected. I'll go. He said he also wanted to get some water to soak his feet, so he could do it on the way. Without further delay, he set off again. After he had gone some distance, Xiao Wu's voice rang out. Wang Sheng, hey, Sister Xiao Wu, what's up? Wang Sheng smiled somewhat obsequiously. After all, even his third brother was weak-willed, let alone him. When he comes back, tell him not to bother me, I want to sleep. Also, Xiao Wu paused, looking at Wang Sheng strangely. Also what? Wang Sheng was confused. Also, didn't you smell a latrine odor on him? Tell him to wash himself clean later, or he won't be allowed into dormitory 7. Understood. After giving all the instructions, Xiao Wu covered her mouth with her hand. She was really sleepy. Anyway, Tang San couldn't escape, so she would slowly torture him. Holding the quilt Yichu had bought for him, she slowly closed her eyes. This time, Tang San was smarter. When he came back, he carried one hand of cold water and one hand of hot water, so he could adjust the temperature as he pleased. Unfortunately, Xiao Wu had already fallen asleep. After learning of her instructions before going to bed, he didn't resist at all. After all, it was true. When he went to the teacher's cubicle in the evening, the scene almost made him helpless. Xiao Wu telling him to wash himself clean was also a way of showing her concern for him, wasn't it? That day, Tang San slept very late but was happy too. However, Little did he know, this was only the first night. The starlight did not fail the traveler. In the middle of the night, no one was around. At this moment, aided by the speed of the 10-year-old soul beast Iron Hoof Horse, Yichu had already arrived at the entrance of Biao village. He dismounted, his martial soul appeared, and the Iron Hoof Horse disappeared into the vortex. Looking at the familiar village entrance before him, Yichu didn't linger. He walked and looked around, realizing that almost 3 years had passed since he left. The stone house at the end of the village wasn't as dilapidated as Yichu had imagined. Perhaps the village chief, Old Zhang, often came to maintain it. He lingered under the peach tree for a long time before opening the door and going inside. There wasn't much dust inside, and the layout was almost exactly the same as when he left. The wooden horse he made for Xiao Wu was still in its original place. He took out a blanket from his divine power space, placed it on the bed, and made do for the night. "Ah, old Yi, it's me, Old Zhang, here to see you again. I wonder how your grandson is doing in Nodding City." Early in the morning, Yichu was awakened by an old voice outside, Old Zhang's voice. Click. Getting up and opening the somewhat dilapidated wooden door, Yichu saw Old Zhang outside. He was sitting cross-legged under the peach tree, drinking his homemade fruit wine, sip after sip. "Grandpa Zhang," Yichu called out. "Huh? Old Yi, did you hear your brat's voice? Could it be that I'm drunk?" Yichu glanced at the wine bottle in his hand. Although he hadn't drunk in a long time, it shouldn't be that bad for just fruit wine. "Grandpa Zhang, you're not drunk. I'm really back." Yichu crossed his arms, leaned against the doorframe, and smiled at the old man sitting on the ground. "Hey," the old man turned around, rubbed his eyes hard, and even forgot to pick up his cane. He staggered toward Yichu. "Yichu, you're really back?" "Of course I am." Yichu went over and reached out to help him. "Haha, you've grown quite a bit taller. And much more handsome." The old man pinched his arms and shoulders, looking him up and down. Unfortunately, before he could finish praising him, he started complaining again. "By the way, when did you get back? Did you even bother to come in and sit down? Did you think this old man was beneath you?" "Grandpa Zhang, why do you still like to say these things? I arrived in the middle of the night. How could I disturb you?" Yichu's forehead was covered in sweat. After he stopped, he walked to the side, bent down to pick up the cane he had dropped, and put it back in his hand. "Alright, you've passed the test," he said, twitching his gray beard. Ignoring Yichu's eye roll, he pulled him towards his house. "How about we go to my house for breakfast now? I'll get you something good." Of course, Yichu rubbed his stomach. He hadn't eaten dinner yesterday and was indeed hungry. "Then you should pay your respects to old Yi properly first. I'll go back and tell your aunt." "Okay, be careful, take care." Watching the old man slowly walk away with his cane, Yichu couldn't help but smile. Everything was still so familiar, the taste of home. After finding a few sticks of incense in the stone house, Yichu took over the seat where old Zhang had been sitting cross-legged. He knelt there, holding the incense sticks above his head, lighting one stick with each kowtow. Then, leaning against the old peach tree, he softly recounted his experiences over the past few years. "Grandpa, in these past few years, I met a girl, very cute and well-behaved. I met Mr. and Mrs. Jerry, very kind and compassionate. I met the Tang family father and son. It was dangerous, but safe. I became a soul master, though weak, but growing." Yichu talked a lot, and quite a bit of time passed. He got up and walked towards the village chief's house. Old Zhang and his aunt were very hospitable. Although it was breakfast, it was exceptionally lavish. Of course, it would be even better without braised rabbit meat. "Xiao, you silly child, come on, eat more meat. Look at your skinny arms and legs," Aunt Zhang said enthusiastically, placing the best rabbit leg in his bowl. Yichu smiled politely and didn't refuse. Old Zhang also chuckled. "It's quite a coincidence, isn't it? Today is the same day 9 years ago when old Yi found you. Your auntie found out, so she specially slaughtered the rabbit she just bought yesterday, as a birthday celebration for you." "Thank you, auntie." Yichu's eyes were a little moist. These so-called lower-class commoners on the mainland made him feel the warmth of home. "Dad, why are you saying all this? Go drink your wine." Chapter 29 Pulling Weeds. Back at the stone house, his stomach was bulging. With nothing to do, Yichu repaired the stone house again. At dusk, the sunset reflected on the peach trees, and a gentle breeze blew past Yichu. It was time to leave again. The peach trees swayed in the wind, as if nodding. A vortex appeared in the void, and he quietly departed. Before leaving, he secretly left some gold soul coins at old Zhang's house. Next, it was time to go to Holy Soul Village to pull weeds. After Yichu left, Aunt Zhang came to the stone house. Little Chu, it's time for your dinner." After searching around and not finding him, she belatedly realized that Yichu had probably already left. Good heavens! That heartless brat! He left without even saying goodbye. At this time, Yichu is still on his horse. Biao village was west of Notting City, while Holy Soul village was south of Notting City. The distance between the two villages wasn't too far. It would take about a few hours to ride there. On his way home, he rode from dusk till midnight. Now, he rode from dusk till dawn. Standing atop a small hill, he looked down at the village below. Holy Soul village was slightly larger than Biao village. He dismounted, let his horse graze, and gazed at the rising sun, beginning his cultivation of the purple demon eye. He had been stuck at the microscopic realm for a long time. Time passed, the purple aura in the sky dissipated, and Yichu's eyes turned blood red. After surveying Holy Soul village, he realized its unusual location. No wonder Tang Hao had brought Tang San here to live in seclusion. The Phasno province was located at the border of the Heaven Dao and Star Luo empires, and Notting City, next to Holy Soul village, was less than 200 miles from the Star Luo empire. Holy Soul village was situated at the boundary of the two empires, near no man's land. Moreover, it was relatively close to the Star Dao Great Forest. In case of an emergency, Tang Hao could immediately take Tang San there to escape, ensuring Tang San's safety. Looking at the distant Star Dao Great Forest, which lay sprawled across the ground like a colossal beast, Yichu thought that perhaps after succeeding, he could also head there to see this largest soul beast forest. After looking for a while, Yichu's vision blurred. He rubbed his stinging eyes and mounted his horse. Giddy up! Just now, while looking around, Yichu had already spotted the waterfall. A look of joy appeared on his face as he whipped his poor horse. Tang Hao's wife? Yichu, have arrived. A thrill ran through him. Although he had only stolen a blade of grass, it was the wife of Haoshan Douluo, the protagonist's mother. Who else could do that? Giddy up! Getting closer and closer to the waterfall, the rushing water crashed against the surface, creating a misty spray that shrouded the entire area around it. The closer he got, the more vigilant Yichu became. The red-purple glint in his eyes never disappeared. If Tang Hao discovered him, his grass-stealing operation would be aborted. Yichu pulled on the reins, the horse's front legs lifted high, and he nimbly dismounted. A glance around revealed a vortex, and he once again stored the iron-hoofed horse in his divine might space. Looking ahead, through the curtain of water, Yichu saw the shadow of the blue-silver emperor, swaying alone, beautiful in the dark, damp space. Its form became ethereal. And with the activation of divine might, it slowly sank into the ground. When it reappeared, it was already in a cave within the waterfall's embrace, and Yichu's body slowly rose from the ground. Scanning his surroundings, he saw nothing but rock walls. There were some blue-silver grasses on the ground, and the blue-silver emperor was in the very center, surrounded by its subjects, like stars around the moon. After inspecting the area and finding nothing particularly special, Yichu squatted down beside it. Activating his Sharingan, he carefully observed the vibrant little grass before him. Is this the blue-silver emperor? It's definitely different. Yichu reached out and plucked a handful from its golden blue body, then teased its leaves with their golden veins. He wasn't sure if it was just his imagination, but Yichu felt it was somewhat affectionate towards him. The small leaf seemed to be beckoning. Sorry, I'm just giving it a taste of its own medicine. With that, Yichu took out a small shovel and a small flower pot and began transplanting. Digging into the damp soil, Yichu frowned. He glanced at the ordinary blue-silver grass beside him. They all looked the same, wilted and lifeless. He wondered if Tang Hao was truly ignorant or what. In such a damp and dark environment, even if it weren't for the blue-silver emperor, the other blue-silver grasses would have been drowned long ago. Finally, the blue-silver emperor was successfully transplanted. Half of his plan to steal his wife and mother was complete. As he put away the flower pot, a jar of yellow curry appeared in his hand. Serious curry. He then randomly selected the most vibrant little blade of grass nearby. Then I'll trouble you to provide cover for your emperor. Yichu chuckled. Seeing it remain silent, Yichu assumed it agreed, uprooted it, and planted it in the original spot where the blue-silver emperor had been. He then opened the jar in his hand and poured the fragrant curry over it. Clap clap. Having finished all this, Yichu stood up and clapped his hands. Mission accomplished. He opened his six-pointed star and prepared to leave. Huh? Yichu stopped. He noticed something unusual. Concentrating his attention, he scanned the cave back and forth, almost missing a 100,000-year-old soul bone. Sure enough, under Yichu's scan, he discovered something strange in an area of the left rock wall. How come I didn't notice this before? Is it because some kind of formation was set up? But, what a pity, he still discovered it. Without hesitation, he activated the power of his left eye, causing the rock wall to distort. Crack. The rock wall cracked, and with a thud, rubble fell to the ground. Inside was indeed a small box. Yichu, quick as a flash, grabbed it. Without even admiring the soul bone inside, he vanished in a flash. Thus, the interest collection work came to an end. Far away in Nodding City, Tang Hao was hiding in the shadows, quietly watching Tang San being bossed around by Xiao Wu on the street. He had considered stopping him, but remembering how he had been doing the same thing when pursuing a yin, he let it go. What's wrong with doing a little extra work when pursuing a girl? Besides, it was a surefire way to make money. A glint flashed in Tang Hao's cloudy eyes. Suddenly, as if sensing something, the nostalgic expression on his face froze, and his eyes widened. Damn it, he hissed, immediately flying towards Holy Soul Village. The formation he had set up had been destroyed. That was a Yin's soul bone. A Yin was still there. Who is it? Who is it? I'll kill you. Just outside Nodding City, Tang Hao took to the air, roaring in panic. Faster, faster, above Holy Soul Village, a man clad in a black bamboo hat streaked across the sky, finally crashing down near the waterfall. Thump. He slammed heavily onto the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Boom. The rushing waterfall created a deafening curtain of water, and without pausing, Tang Hao transformed into an iron-headed monster, plunging headfirst into it. Chapter 30 Starred Out Great Forest. After the explosion, Tang Hao let out a wail. No, Tang Hao stared at the scene before him, his eyes wide with horror. He buckled, raised his hands above his head, and knelt on the ground, as if welcoming the snowflakes falling from the cave ceiling. There, in the dark cave entrance on the rock wall, the brocade box inside was gone. In the center was a lump of yellowish-orange matter. The blue-silver emperor was no longer swaying. Tang Hao crawled to the blue-silver emperor, his hands trembling as he scooped up the yellow contents. Ah, silver, his hoarse voice choked with sobs, and he covered his face with his hands, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry. The spicy curry on his hands also got into his eyes, causing him to blink incessantly, tears flowing freely. The tears dripped onto the blue-silver emperor beneath him, washing away a small leaf. Where were the golden patterns now? Tang Hao's tiger-like eyes widened, bloodshot, ignoring the burning sensation and stinging in his eyes. He had broken down. Bungbu is gone. They thought only the bones were lost, but the grass is gone too. Ugga! A roar erupted, his soul power exploding. Even his killing god domain unleashed its terrifying soul power, crashing against the surrounding rock walls. Boom! Rumble. The cave collapsed, water flowed backward, and the waterfall seemed about to stop flowing. Tang Hao's eyes were bloodshot, like a ferocious beast ready to devour its prey. Yin. Who is it? Who is it? Tang Hao, will definitely kill you. His words were fierce, but his constantly blinking eyes looked somewhat comical. Tang Hao began searching his surroundings, but it was destined to be futile. At the edge of the starred-out great forest, Yichu seemed to hear Tang Hao's roar. Thinking of Tang Hao's uncontrollable tears streaming down his face, he couldn't help but chuckle. That was the curry he had carefully prepared. Looking in the direction of Holy Soul Village, a cold smile curled his lips, then he turned and plunged into the dense forest. He planned to start from here, heading north towards Heavendao City. The starred-out great forest, spanning two great empires, is densely vegetated with thick, towering trees that practically block out the sun. It teems with various spirit beasts, the stronger the beasts becoming as you venture into the core area. In short, with enough strength and luck, you can find any spirit beast you desire here, including 100,000-year-old ones. The dim environment inside was oppressive, so he quickly moved in, leaping and running through the forest. Right, it's time to check my harvest, Yichu thought, landing on a massive branch and releasing the blue-silver emperor he'd planted in a flower pot. As if returning home, the blue-silver emperor was full of energy, shaking itself happily. Yichu couldn't resist giving it a couple of strokes. The blue-silver emperor didn't resist. Instead, it strangely held Yichu's fingers between two leaves. Could it be that my Sharingan works on the blue-silver emperor too? Yichu immediately wondered. If that's really the case, then my eyes are far too inappropriate. As long as it's someone of the opposite sex, it's fine. I've already blurred the lines between humans and beasts. What? Xiao Wu is also a beast? That's different, she already has a human-like appearance. Pulling his hand back, Yichu took out the brocade box again. As soon as he opened it, a burst of blue-gold light flashed, revealing the right leg bone of the blue-silver emperor. It was crystal clear, with specks of gold dust inside its blue interior, like stars. The blue-silver emperor beside him sensed the aura of the same origin as his own and kept stretching towards him, but unfortunately, its short arms couldn't reach it at all. Yichu looked at the soul bone in his hand, pondered for a moment, and then made a decision. What he lacked now was strength. A 100,000-year soul bone was already considered top tier. A kaleidoscope appeared in his eyes, and Yichu, with a blue-silver emperor, returned to the divine might space. He was going to absorb this right leg bone. Sitting cross-legged, Yichu pressed the blue-silver emperor's right leg bone against his calf and began to slowly absorb it, circulating the mysterious heaven technique. Blue and gold hues flowed, and Yichu's soul power slowly increased, from level 17 to 18 to 19. Finally stopping at level 20. It was believed that once he acquired another soul ring, his soul power would definitely increase several more levels. In just half a month, he broke through from level 10 to Great Soul Master. Time passed, and the starred-out Great Forest was plunged into darkness, with only some glowing plants providing a sliver of light. Ah! Help me! A scream suddenly pierced the night, followed by an angry shout, damn it! Martial soul possession. Second soul skill. Swift charge. Fourth soul skill, soul hooking ghost claw. Several miles away from Yichu, a group of masked men in black stood in the forest, looking at their companion drained of blood by the blood vines, filled with terror. Brother, let's stop and rest. It's too dangerous at night, someone suggested to the leader. Upon hearing this, the crippled leopard standing before them also retracted the 4 soul rings, white, yellow, and purple, that were flashing beneath his feet. The starry sky forest at night was indeed very dangerous. It was all that wretched woman's fault. Even injured, she could still run so fast. His voice, hoarse and grating like it had been bruised by a car, rang out. Since that's the case, then we'll camp here, but, let me make this clear, if she gets away, you're all dead. Understand? The leopard's sinister words sent a chill down the spines of the others, who quickly made assurances. Don't worry, big brother, we'll definitely catch her. Yeah, when we catch her, we'll definitely let you have your fun first. This guy, who had been about to say something nice, suddenly clutched his neck, his eyes wide, staring intently at the figure that had suddenly appeared before him. Big brother, what are you doing? Someone asked, puzzled. The leopard licked the blood-stained dagger in its hand, its venomous eyes sweeping over them. You'd better remember your place. We're nothing but dogs. Our master's fallen woman is not someone we can covet. Yes, the crowd nodded vigorously. Not far from them, a young girl lay prostrate on the ground, the blood on her body already dried, but the fire in her heart would never be extinguished. She gritted her teeth, not daring to make a sound, slowly crawling on the ground, her fingers bleeding from the friction, her face and body scratched by thorns. Even so, she remained silent, her black pupils filled with determination. She only wanted to live, to live well. In the divine might space, the blue-gold aura around Yichu had vanished without a trace, and the blue-silver emperor's right leg bone was also nowhere to be found. Sensing his own soul power, a smile appeared on his face. Tomorrow, I can go and acquire my second soul ring. The 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor's right leg bone possessed 2 skills. One was flight, which, as the name suggests, allowed one to fly. The second was wildfire cannot burn at all, the spring breeze brings it back to life, matching the characteristics of blue-silver grass, possessing extremely strong healing abilities, even capable of regenerating severed limbs. He took out a small knife, made a cut on his arm, and blood slowly flowed out. Then, the wound quickly and miraculously scabbed over and fell off, leaving it completely healed. The healing ability is indeed impressive, Yichu had carefully considered absorbing this soul bone. When he used his martial soul, especially the main Gekkyou Sharingan, his vision would become blurry and painful after a while. This was probably a side effect of using the main Gekkyou Sharingan, and he might even become blind like Itachi. Now, with this soul bone, his endurance would definitely be greatly improved, and its repair function should also heal many of the damage caused by overuse of his eyes. Yichu felt that the key to completely solving this problem was the looking through the autumn water dew inside the ice and fire yin-yang eye, which might allow the kaleidoscope to bloom eternally. Chapter 31 The Dying Girl. Yichu stretched and looked at the blue-silver emperor beside him. Luckily, he had put the horse on another stone platform, otherwise this little bit of grass wouldn't even be enough to fill its teeth. He stroked its leaves with golden patterns. Perhaps because Yichu had absorbed the blue-silver emperor's right leg bone, it was very cooperative, wriggling around happily. "Brother," a voice rang in Yichu's mind, a clear, childish female voice. "Who is it?" Yichu immediately became alert, his Sharingan activating as he warily observed his surroundings. After looking around, he realized that he was in his own Kamui alternate dimension, and there was no one else here. Could I be hallucinating? He scratched his head in confusion, his eyes looking at the flower pot on the ground where the blue-silver emperor was planted. He squatted down and poked it with his finger. "It can't be you talking, right?" Yichu fiddled with it, but he didn't hear any more sounds. He muttered to himself, "Could I really be hallucinating?" Rubbing his temples, Yichu stopped thinking and simply collapsed to the ground to rest. The divine might was indeed very convenient, he was no longer afraid of sleeping on the streets. While Yichu slept, the blue-silver emperor beside him emitted a faint light, its swaying body stretching towards him as if it had found a family member. "Brother," a subtle sound was transmitted into Yichu's mind through his mental power, but it was so faint that he, in his sleep, could hardly notice it. Having tossed and turned enough, the blue-silver emperor stopped swaying and stood quietly. Outside, the sky gradually turned white. "Ah!" Thud. Thud, a delicate cry came from afar. The girl, transformed into Voldemort, had her lower leg broken by a 100-year-old soul beast, the iron-horned rhinoceros, which had come out to hunt at dawn. She then crashed to the ground in an arc below her chest. A large hole had been gouged out by the startled rhinoceros's horn. Lying on the ground, her body twitched slightly from the pain, her hair disheveled and covered in sweat. Blood flowed, her face was pale, and her eyelids grew heavier. She didn't want to die. Some spirit beasts nearby had already smelled the blood and were slowly approaching. Tears streamed down her face. She had tried so hard to live, yet in the end, nothing had changed. She was unwilling to accept it. Above her, a boy suddenly appeared on the tree branch, appearing out of thin air. Short black hair, a black figure. The dying girl's eyes lit up. "Perhaps I can still live." Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. The blood loss weakened her, the instinct for survival made her struggle in her death throes. Fortunately, the boy finally jumped down. In the early morning, after playing a couple of rounds of Blue-Silver Queen, Yichu went outside, intending to immediately set off to hunt for his second spirit ring. Unexpectedly, he smelled a strong stench of blood as soon as he came out. After looking around, he was shocked to find a girl lying on the ground under the tree. Several soul beasts had already surrounded them. Yichu frowned. He didn't want to get involved, but the pleading in the girl's eyes softened his heart. Sigh, Yichu sighed softly, landing gracefully. 3 Tomo appeared in his eyes, and with just a glance, all the 100-year-old soul beasts that had surrounded them were immobilized. Yichu crouched down, placing his hand on her neck to see if she could be saved. "Fortunately, there's still hope," his words echoed in the girl's ears. She finally couldn't hold on any longer. In her last glance at the boy before her, all that remained in her mind was a bloody blur. Those were strange eyes, dangerous and alluring. Has she already fainted? Yichu looked at the mangled flesh before her, feeling a pang of unease. He picked her up and disappeared into the dense forest. No sooner had he left than Kanbeo and the others arrived. "Big brother." I clearly heard screams coming from this side, but where is she? Look, someone pointed to the blood on the ground. She couldn't have been eaten by a soul beast, could she? Enough. I said, I want her alive or dead. If we don't find her, you're all dead. Kanbeo rubbed the blood on the ground, thinking the person couldn't have gone far. Using his divine power, Yichu arrived at a cave he had passed earlier, drove away the soul beasts inside, took out a blanket and placed it on the ground, then teleported the girl out. Judging from her size, she should be about 12 or 13 years old. Although her black hair and fair face were covered in dirt, her beauty was still evident. Seeing her current state, Yichu didn't dare to move her carelessly, but first stopped the bleeding. He activated the Xuantiangong in his right leg bone simultaneously. The healing effect wasn't good for himself, but it was enough to stop the bleeding. A quarter of an hour passed, and the girl lying in Yichu's arms fluttered her eyelashes and slowly opened her eyes. Before her eyes was a head of short black hair. She wasn't dreaming, she was saved. "Thank you for saving me." Her voice was a little hoarse, perhaps from not having drunk water for so long. "We'll talk later. Drink some water first." Yichu took out a water bottle and slowly poured some. Glug, glug, drink slowly. The water in the bottle was all gone, and she even stuck out her tongue to lick the spout, clearly showing how thirsty she was. Seeing Yichu frown, a hint of shyness appeared in her eyes as she didn't dare look at him. "I'm sorry, I was just so thirsty." "It's all right." He calmly took back the water bottle and wiped the spout with his sleeve. Seeing this, the girl's pale face seemed to recover a little, a faint blush appearing. "My name is Zhu Huaqing," she gave a simple self-introduction, but paused before she could finish, not wanting to reveal her identity. "Yichu?" After a simple exchange of names, Yichu gently laid her down on the blanket and looked at her intently. "Do you have medicine?" "Huh? Medicine for healing wounds? Oh, yes, I do." Following her directions, Yichu successfully found her storage soul tool at her waist. "Looks like this guy has some background." He glanced at her with surprise. After taking out the medicine, Yichu walked to the side. "Call me when you've applied the medicine." After a moment of silence, Zhu Yeking gritted her teeth, turned her face away, and whispered, You help me apply it." Seeing that Yichu didn't react, she mustered her courage again. "You help me apply it? Are you sure?" Faced with his question, she closed her eyes and nodded with difficulty. She knew her own injuries, they were all over her body, and she couldn't move at all. Having gotten his answer, Yichu didn't delay any longer. He took out various tools from his divine power space, a dagger, a wooden board, scissors, and even a bed in a large basin full of water. Weren't you already prepared?" Zhu Yeking glared at him angrily. If that was the case, why ask for her opinion? "Well, consider it signing an informed consent form, just in case you come looking for trouble later." Yichu arranged the items that had been teleported out, unconcerned about her reaction. He hadn't treated her initially to avoid trouble. If he saved her without her consent and she then acted as if she wanted to die, Yichu couldn't handle it. Saving someone only to create an enemy? He wasn't going to do something so thankless. After preparing everything, Yichu swept her up in a princess carry and placed her on the bed. Holding scissors in one hand, he used the other to tear off her clothes. Thank you to reader Tamachung for the 800 reading coins, and thank you to all the readers for your recommendations and monthly tickets. Chapter 32 Enchanting. Yichu grabbed her collar and slowly pulled it down. What are you doing?" Zhu Yeking tried to avoid his movements, aggravating her injuries and causing a sharp pain, making suggestive noises. "What am I doing?" "Something doesn't sound right," he replied, giving the girl in front of him a strange look. "I don't want to." A cough. She coughed twice, secretly relieved that she hadn't blurted out her thoughts. "You agreed so readily just now, I thought you already knew what I was going to do." "It's nothing." Yichu became serious, spreading his hands and pointing at her. "Exactly, look at your clothes, wrapped up so tightly, and you're so dirty. You definitely need to wash yourself before applying the medicine." "Right, wash myself." Her voice suddenly rose. She froze, her expression shifting between conflict, discomfort, shyness, and anger. She knew the sticky feeling was uncomfortable, and after crawling on the floor for so long, her wounds would likely get infected if not cleaned properly. But the other person was a man. The thought of him cutting off her clothes and cleaning every inch of her wounds, alone man and woman. Ugh, the thought made her gasp, her face flush, and she gasped for breath. "Have you thought it through?" Yichu sat down on the edge of the bed. "If you're embarrassed, I can knock you out." "No," she immediately rejected the idea. How could that be? That would leave her body at his mercy. "Then what do you want from me?" Yichu was getting impatient. Was he going to save her or not? It was unclear whether she had heard Yichu's question. After a long silence, she seemed to have come to terms with it, adjusting her breathing and slowly turning her head away, not wanting to see Yichu. "Come on," she said through gritted teeth, managing to utter the two words. Having received permission, Yichu didn't hold back, picking up the scissors and dagger in his hand, ready to slash her clothes. When he touched the skin of her neck, a faint pink spread across her face, her delicate body trembled slightly, and her voice trembled with tears as she stubbornly said, "If you want to do anything to me, even if I die, I won't give you a warm meal." Tears slowly streamed down her face, and she closed her eyes resignedly. PFFT. Haha. If I wanted to do anything to you, do you think you could successfully commit suicide? You're really cute. Yichu shook his head, amused by the girl before him who was clearly resistant yet pretending to be strong. She didn't reply, lying there quietly, her face flushed. Yichu stopped teasing, sat on the edge of the bed, and slowly peeled her clothes off. Her fists clenched, and she couldn't help but moan softly. The blood had dried, and the wound was stuck to her clothes. Even the slightest tug on the fabric would cause her pain. The only sound in the cave was the scraping of fabric. Time seemed to drag on, both of them suffering. Looking at the beginnings of the scene before him, Yichu wasn't entirely unmoved. Sweat gradually beaded on his forehead. Zuyekeng was extremely nervous. Every accidental touch made her heart tremble, and she was already drenched in sweat. The obstacles to cleaning the wound had been completely removed. The cleaning could begin. "Let me clean your upper body first." "Shut up," Zuyekeng shouted angrily, her eyes filled with rage and shame. "Phew. Okay." Yichu exhaled a breath of relief, relaxing. He dampened a towel in the basin and carefully wiped her body. Finally, when he touched two key areas, Yichu heard a faint sob. Zuyekeng's shoulders trembled as she felt the pain in her body. Thinking of the pressure she was born with in her family, it all weighed her down, making it hard to breathe. Now, as if she had found an outlet, she silently wept. Yichu, however, assumed she was only crying because of her grievances and shame. He paused, quickly moving his hands over that area, and turned to clean the wound below her chest. The bloody hole caused by the rhinoceros horn had even injured her ribs. Crack! The bone made a crisp sound. "Aga!" Zuyekeng screamed. Yichu placed his hand on her ribs, channeling his soul power and using a few techniques, and the ribs were set back. He took out a blanket to cover her and brought out a water bottle. "Drink some water to replenish your fluids." Her face was pale with a tinge of red, and her tear-streaked, disheveled hair made her look incredibly haggard. Her misty eyes glanced at him, but she didn't respond. Since she didn't want it, Yichu couldn't force her. Then next, his gaze fell on her legs clad in stockings, her left calf even appearing slightly twisted. You just do what you're doing." He forced himself to calm down and said coldly. With a look of gritted teeth and eyes filled with grief and despair, her short skirt was slowly pulled down. Preparation complete. Yichu quickly began wiping her down, leaving no detail overlooked. Zuyekeng's eyes were somewhat glazed, her lips almost bleeding from being bitten. The days when no one had ever seen or touched her were now behind her. He then uncovered a blanket covering her upper body, turned her over, and repeated the previous steps. When it was all over, she looked like she had just been pulled from the water, her whole body soaked and flushed. Covered in sweat, Yichu could only wipe her down again. Then he applied medicine. He applied medicine where needed and bandaged where necessary. A complete procedure was completed. Zuyekeng had cried herself to sleep. Her swollen, red eyes stared blankly at the cave ceiling, her thoughts wandering. Where is that so-called fiancé right now? "Sister, you've ruined me." A sudden, bitter laugh escaped her lips. "What's wrong? Are there any wounds you haven't treated?" Yichu covered her with a blanket, concealing her body. Zuyekeng simply stared at him coldly. Yichu frowned, sensing killing intent. He felt the killing intent. He lowered his head, a red light flashing in his eyes. Fortunately, this killing intent didn't last long. Except for her left calf, the rest, she sneered, her voice cold. "Did you already search everywhere?" Yichu, who was about to attack, smiled self-deprecatingly. She was just a girl lying paralyzed on the bed, completely at his mercy. Besides, his actions were indeed unacceptable to her. Although he no longer intended to attack, his Sharingan remained activated as he moved to the foot of the bed. Yichu could see right through her broken left leg. "A fracture and a crack. Will the medicine you brought work?" "Don't worry, it even healed my chest wound. It can heal this kind of thing." Her cold voice couldn't hide the turmoil in her heart. Receiving her reply, Yichu gently placed his hand on her chest, circulating his Zhuangtian gong and channeling his soul power. "Then you'd better bear with it. Before she could react, Yichu began to exert his strength. Ugh, a piercing scream, showing the immense pain. Her body convulsed slightly, and her curses trembled. You bastard, consider this punishment for trying to kill me." Ignoring her murderous glare, Yichu chuckled, gently applying the ointment, bandaging it simply, and then using several pieces of wood to fix the bones. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 33 The Pursuers Approach. It was finally over. Yichu breathed a sigh of relief. After all, it was early morning, a time when one's yang energy is just beginning to rise, and this whole ordeal had made him extremely irritable. Glug, glug, he gulped down several mouthfuls of cold water, which made him feel a little better. "Are you sure you don't need any water?" He handed her the water bottle as a gesture of inquiry. "I do." Her voice was clear and melodious, yet it was also unapproachable. Seeing Yichu put the spout directly to her lips, Zhu Yeqing couldn't help but stop him. "What are you doing? You use this." Hearing this, Yichu rolled his eyes. "It's okay, I used that bottle too." "You? Oh." Glug glug. Seeing that she was about to say something more, Yichu didn't want to listen anymore and directly shoved the spout into her mouth, even thoughtfully wiping it with his sleeve before doing so. Cough cough. Caught off guard, Zhu Yeqing choked on the water and coughed uncontrollably. "Cough cough, you bastard," she glared at him angrily. "Ignore her staring, let her stare." Yichu expressionlessly wiped the spout of the kettle clean and put it away. He then took a towel from the basin. "What else do you want to do?" "I'm already clean." Zhu Yeqing's face showed panic, thinking she had met the wrong person. "You stand." Before she could finish speaking, Yichu used both hands to hold the towel and pressed it against her cheeks, squeezing her mouth into an O shape. Only her tongue could be seen moving, but no sound could be heard. "Looks like your medicine is working well. In such a short time, you've become much more fluent." Yichu sat cross-legged above her head, cupped her face on his knees, and slowly lowered his head to look at her. "However, you'd better talk less now. Obediently wash your face." After releasing her cheeks, she didn't say anything more. She could feel the slight warmth of his breath on her face, making her skin burn. But not wanting to show her weakness, she stared intently at Yichu until she felt embarrassed, then closed her eyes. "I said, can you stop breathing so heavily? Don't reopen the wound on your chest, you." Her dark eyes were filled with shame and anger. "Alright, just put your clothes on, that'll be fine." "Put on clothes? What, do you want to stay naked?" "I don't mind, go to hell. Help me put them on later, and keep your eyes clear, or I'll really kill you." "Just stop crying. Girls crying is such a hassle. Damn it, this thing is on backwards." Zhu Yeqing cried out in shame and anger. She clearly had a model on her chest, yet he still put it on backwards. The killing intent in her eyes could kill Yichu several times over. Not far from the cave, Kanbeo and the others were slowly approaching. In the air, a soul master with the ability to fly descended, responsible for reconnaissance at low altitude. "Big brother, we found a cave ahead. There's some blood at the entrance. Let's go." With a command, Kanbeo led his remaining dozen or so men towards the cave. A short while later, a series of screams erupted from the cave. Meanwhile, Yichu and his companion, after much effort, finally managed to pull up her pants, their mission accomplished. It was almost noon. "Gurgulham? Zhu Yeqing, did you hear anything?" Yichu racked his brains, worried he might be hallucinating again. "No, I didn't hear anything." She placed a hand on her lower abdomen, her face flushed. "Really nothing?" He had indeed heard something. No, Zhu Yeqing denied it again. Looking at her red face, Yichu was bewildered. He was certain this time it wasn't a hallucination. His Sharingan appeared, his pupils turning purple, his vision piercing through the rock wall, revealing the horrific scene in the distance. Shadow spider swarm. And the soul master, what appeared in Yichu's vision was none other than Kanbeo's group. "What are you saying?" Zhu Yeqing looked at him strangely. Yichu looked away and explained, "Not far from us, a group of unlucky guys have broken into the shadow spider's nest and are running this way." Zhu Yeqing was startled. "Could it be them? By the way, how did you know?" Zhu Yeqing was somewhat skeptical. "My martial soul, the Sharingan." Yichu pointed to his eyes and introduced them to her. "You have the ability to see through things." "Yes, Pawada lewd thing," Zhu Yeqing spat, calling Yichu vulgar. Yichu covered his face. He should have blurted out that ability. "I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Let's get out of here quickly and get some game to fill our stomachs." Gurgle. As soon as Yichu finished speaking, A sound came from Zhu Yeking's stomach. Looking at her in surprise, her face flushed with embarrassment, Yichu finally understood why she had been so hesitant when he asked her if she had heard anything. It turned out her stomach was rumbling. Since you're hungry, let's leave soon. Yichu swept her up in his arms, and Zhu Yeking wrapped her arms around his neck, her eyes darting away. A red glint flashed in his eyes as he retrieved everything he had taken out earlier into his divine might space. Zhu Yeking stared blankly as the items disappeared before her eyes, looking at him strangely. She really didn't know how big this guy's soul tool was, even carrying a bed with him. Yichu didn't want to explain anything. He wasn't stupid enough to explain his soul skills to others. After all, while divine might was buggy, it wasn't invincible. Better safe than sorry. Holding his sister in his arms, he entered the jungle again. Mountain Eagle. You bastard, is this the cave you were talking about? The angry voice of the leopard turned into a roar. Because of incorrect information, they had stumbled upon a spider's nest and were already surrounded by several thousand-year-old soul beasts. At least half of the people they brought had perished here. Big brother, the mountain eagle has been completely devoured. Damn it, everyone, follow me and break through with me. As many as you can escape. With a command from Kanbeo, the remaining 8 or 9 people immediately followed closely behind him. His gloomy eyes searched for a breakthrough, and finally, a shadow spider, seemingly 1,000 years old, leaped into his view. Everyone, stay close. Sato, attack together, understood, big brother. Third soul skill, Death Coil. The man named Sato's third soul ring flashed, and several thick, barbed vines tightly bound the soul beast. Third and fourth soul skills, Residual Blood, Soul Hooking Claws. Kanbeo sprang up, 2 soul rings, 1 yellow and 1 purple, lighting up one after the other, instantly activating amplification soul skills and a single target attack soul skill. Sharp claws pierced the shadow spider's keratin layer and penetrated its brain. Roar! The shadow spider let out a mournful cry before crashing to the ground. Everyone, go! Second soul skill, Dash. Amplified by his speed-enhancing soul skill, Kanbeo took the lead and broke through the encirclement. Sato and the others followed closely behind. Ugh, big brother, save me. Finally, after leaving behind 2 more corpses, the remaining 7 were able to escape safely. Their retreat direction coincided perfectly with Yichu's. A Soul Master team led by a Soul Master had already lost 3/4 of its members since entering this area, demonstrating the extreme danger of the starred-out Great Forest. Chapter 34 Lackey. However, there's no reason to let prey that's delivered to their door escape. Swoosh, 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 that's the sound of spider legs piercing. Even if they safely escape the encirclement, the shadow spider swarm relentlessly pursued them. Big brother. Those beasts are coming, don't look back. Split up and run. Meet up ahead. Kanbeo was truly desperate. At this rate, total annihilation was inevitable. Breaking up was the only chance of survival. At his command, Sato and the others didn't hesitate. Following their fastest brother, they were sure to die first. After exchanging glances, they each fled. Yichu, carrying his sister, weaved through the jungle. Bamboo Leaf Green in his arms could only see the trees rushing past. With ghost shadow steps and his Sharingan, Yichu could run freely in the complex terrain, without fear of crashing into trees. So fast. A strange light shone in Zhu Yeking's eyes. She discovered that the boy who had saved her was even faster than she, a speed-based attacker. She wrapped her arms around his neck, slowly raising her head to observe him. His black, tousled hair, sculpted features, and red eyes. It would have been better if she hadn't looked, but when she glimpsed a hint of bloodlust in Yichu's eyes, she felt as if she had seen the most beautiful scenery of her life, bringing her peace and warmth. Her arms tightened involuntarily, her face pressed against Yichu's chest, quietly savoring this fleeting moment of bliss. We're here. Let's rest here for a while. After a long silence, Yichu looked at the beauty in his arms with a puzzled expression. He shook her arms vigorously. Are you alright? I'm fine. She blushed and pulled away from Yichu's chest, adding when she saw his expression, I'm just a little sleepy. Alright, it's good that you're alright. Yichu put her down and leaned against a large tree. You should rest here for a while, okay? She nodded gently. Seeing this, Yichu turned his back to her and used his Sharingan's X-ray vision to search. He saw many rabbits, but he was currently abstaining from rabbit meat and didn't consider them. After a short while, he finally found a suitable prey, a 100-year-old soul beast, a great horned bull. Perfect for roasting. Wait for me here. Before even hearing Zhu Yeking's response, Yi Chu darted away. In his line of sight, a large bat was also eyeing the bull. If he was late, lunch would be lost. No sooner had he left than Kanbeo and the others had already gathered nearby. Under the threat of death, their escape speed far exceeded their usual speed, allowing them to approach Yi Chu and his companion. Big brother. I didn't expect that only the four of us would be left this time. Sato was somewhat dejected. His brothers who used to drink and eat meat with him were all gone. It's all that bitch's fault, that's right. If we find her, we'll definitely give her a good beating. The Shang brothers, Xiangjie and Xiangdi, were also furious. This time, Kanbeo didn't correct them. Of the 30 men, only 4 remained. He wasn't much better off than the others. A cold voice slowly uttered, then so be it, clang. A slight metallic clanging sound came from Kanbeo's waist. How, that bitch has appeared. Looking at the bees fluttering chaotically in the bell in his hand, Kanbeo revealed a cruel smile. Great. I'll make sure she's dead. Xiangjie's rough voice was filled with excitement. Follow me. Kanbeo led the way, running towards Zhu Yeking. The other 3 exchanged glances, each seeing desire, excitement, and hatred in the other's eyes. The bees in the bell would only eat their specially made honey. For this operation, they had had that bitch's maid add something to her bathwater. Zhu Yeking, still resting against a tree, was completely unaware of the approaching danger. Until the enemy was right in front of her. Big brother, these little bees keep buzzing. Where is that bitch? A rough voice came from behind the tree, startling her. Damn it, they actually caught up with us. Gritting her teeth, she tried to get up, but a sharp pain in her left leg made her cry out. She quickly covered her mouth and stood there dumbfounded. I think I know where she is. Right, my esteemed second miss. Whoosh. As soon as the words left her lips, a dark figure darted out from behind the tree. Zhu Yeking also activated her martial soul in time, but unfortunately, how could a mere one-ring great soul master with a waning bloodline be a match for a soul sect? Ugh, in an instant, Kanbeo grabbed her by the neck and lifted her up. Haha. Big brother is still the best. The 3 behind her also followed, especially the Shang brothers, whose eyes already revealed a wicked glint. Holding her by the neck, Kanbeo finally smiled. Second miss has made us search so hard, pa. You bunch of lackeys. She was choked and couldn't breathe. She tried to pry the other's hands off, but she was powerless, and her eyes showed resentment. Lackeys, Kanbeo sneered, raising his other hand. Snap, thump, Zhu Yeking collapsed to the ground, blood trickling from her mouth, a bright red handprint on her face. Ah, Zhu Yeking screamed as Kanbeo stomped on her left leg, grinding it relentlessly, ignoring the blood seeping out. Lackey? Does a dog not deserve to live? Do you know how many brothers I lost for you? Zhu Yeking gritted her teeth, letting out only one scream before falling silent. She wouldn't allow herself to show the slightest weakness in front of the enemy. Cold sweat dripped from her forehead from the pain, her words trembling slightly. They deserved it, deserved it. Very good, very good. She tried to suppress her voice, forcing back tears. With each good from Kanbeo, the pressure on her foot increased. Brother, I think you should give me some pleasure first. Xiangdi rubbed his hands, scrutinizing the beauty lying on the ground. The eldest daughter of the family, this was something he never even dared to dream of. With a cold glance at Xiangdi, Kanbeo nodded. Be careful not to die, there are others in line behind you. Haha, big brother understands us brothers best. Xiangjie laughed loudly. Seeing Xiangdi approaching her, no, Zhu Yeking retreated with both hands. Seeing her finally showing fear, Kanbeo sneered with satisfaction. HMPH. Pretending? Pretending your way out. Xiangdi grabbed her hair and lifted her up. Noble second miss, your 2 brothers will serve you well. He deliberately emphasized the word noble. Rip. Her sleeve was torn off. Tears streamed down her face, and her tongue was already between her teeth. Ho. Now your fiancé, the prince, will enjoy you. Laughter filled the surrounding area. When she finally heard the word fiancé, she felt only disappointment, her heart ashen. Why did they leave her alone to face all this? I'll talk. Suddenly, a voice rang out. A glint of light flashed in Zhu Yeking's eyes, then quickly vanished. How could Yi Chu be a match for them? Who dares to disturb your grandpa Shuang's enjoyment? He grabbed a woman, his eyes scanning the surroundings. Kanbeo and the others also looked around. You grown men bullying a little girl, isn't that going a bit too far? Yichu emerged from behind a tree. Although he didn't know what grudge they held, he still chose to lend a hand. Just for his own peace of mind. He couldn't bear to see someone being violated. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Life Exchange. Ha ha ha. I thought it was someone important? Turns out it's just a brat. Xiao laughed from the side, stretching his thick arms. I wonder if he can even withstand one of my moves. I doubt it. Sato leaned against a tree with his arms crossed, looking at Yichu with disdain. Kanbeo waved his hand to interrupt them, looking at Yichu with interest, then glancing at the bandage on his second young lady's leg. Pointing at her leg injury, kid, you're the one who saved him? That's right. Yichu faced them calmly. What? You have a problem with that? Clap clap. How? You've got guts. Kanbeo clapped his hands, sneering. I don't have a problem with that, but it seems you were partly responsible for the deaths of my brothers, so what? Yichu picked at his ear. So, I'll have to make you pay with your life. Seeing Yichu's frivolous actions, Kanbeo was also furious. His soul power surged, clearly about to make a move. No, a voice called out from behind him. Oh? What are your orders, second miss? Kanbeo stared at her coldly, as if looking at a dead man. Haha. Brother, I think she's trying to plead for this brat. Shangdi grabbed her hair and pulled it upwards with all his might. Indeed, she said in a tearful voice, as long as you let him go, I'll do whatever you want with me. After saying this, she seemed to have exhausted all her strength, closing her eyes in despair, 2 tear tracks streaming down her face. How? I wonder what His Highness the Third Prince would think if he knew this scene. Kanbeo mocked her, then looked at Yichu with murderous intent. I cannot obey. If he dies, you'll be ours too. None of you will escape. This brat, he was determined to kill him. Listening to the conversation of the people opposite him, Yichu finally understood their identities. He hadn't expected the girl he had saved to be Zhu Xiuqing. Since they were willing to set aside their dignity and sell their bodies for his life, what else could he say? Just do it. Yichu smiled at Zhu Xiuqing opposite him. His eyes flashed with a blood-red glint, ready for battle. Shangdi, you keep playing. Shangje, go finish him off. Seeing the boy's recklessness, Kanbeo lost interest in fighting himself. Shangje, receiving the order, rushed towards Yichu, teasing Shangdi before leaving. Good brother, don't finish too quickly. Don't worry, I'll definitely leave you some food. Zhu Xiuqing ignored Shangdi's groping hand and shouted at Yichu, run. Yichu obediently ran, but instead ran towards Shangje. You're asking for death? Second soul skill, exploding barpua. Flames erupted from the fan-like palm, slashing down towards Yichu's head. Yichu met it head-on, the 3 tomo in his eyes instantly transforming into a 6-pointed star. Poof, X4, everyone except Shangdi was shocked. What's going on? Incredulity flashed in Shangji's eyes, his forward attack unstoppable, passing straight through Yichu's body. Yichu, on the other hand, had a clear target, running straight towards Zhu Xiuqing's location. Shangje quickly turned around and shouted at Shangdi, who was only interested in playing with women, brother. Be careful. Hearing the voice, Kanbeo was startled and came to his senses, warning Shangdi. Shangdi, be careful, this kid is strange. What? Shangdi's outstretched hand stopped in midair, his eyes looking strangely at his brother. What he saw was Yichu's scarlet eyes. Yichu had already rushed in front of him. Under the influence of the illusion, he was stunned on the spot. Swoosh! A cold light arrived first. Sizzle! A short arrow had already pierced his throat. It was a hidden arrow. Thud! Blood gushed out, splattering on Zhu Xiuqing's face. She stared blankly at Yichu running towards her. How did he do that? Shangdi looked at Yichu in disbelief. In his last moments, he was still wondering how Yichu had appeared here. He fell straight down. Yichu caught Zhu Xiuqing in his arms. Brother, Shangji roared, everything happened too fast. So fast that Kanbeo and Sato, standing to the side, didn't even have time to react. Yichu had even used ghost shadow steps during his attack, and given their underestimation of him, killing Shangdi and retrieving Zhu Xiuqing took only a few seconds. Sato. Attack. Kanbei was also furious, another of his brothers was gone. Without him saying more, Sato had already summoned his martial soul. First and second soul skills, demon vine extension and hardening, several vines transformed into spears, thrusting towards Yichu who had just caught Zuzuking. Kanbei also used his second soul skill to rush towards Yichu. "Watch out!" Zuzuking cried out, seeing the attack coming from behind Yichu. Yichu turned around, his eyes flashing with divine power, and a tiger and a bull appeared behind him, referred to Bido's nail-firing attack during the ninja war. Poof! The attacks from Kanbei and Sato landed on the two soul beast corpses. Taking advantage of this opening, Yichu turned back to face them, then stepped back to create a safe distance. What's wrong with this kid? Where did these soul beasts come from? Kanbei stared at him intently, his face grim. Kid, give me back my brother's life. Blinded by hatred, Xiao didn't have many other thoughts. Black Bear possession. Third soul skill, mighty charge. Sato, pull him back. Xiao. Sato released vines, trying to pull him back, but he was a step too slow. Damn it, now that things had come to this, Kanbei dared not rush forward recklessly. His soul power had already been significantly depleted when he was surrounded by the shadow spider swarm. Xiao was like an enraged bull, his stomping feet leaving craters in the ground. Zuzuking, seeing Yichu close his left eye, couldn't help but remind him. "Yichu, he's coming." "Shut up," Yichu snapped at her, he needed to concentrate. His left eye snapped towards Xiao. This was the first time he'd used this move on a person. Divine might, his gaze focused on Xiao's neck, but he ignored it. Oblivious to what was happening, he charged at Yichu despite the pain. Yichu hadn't expected this guy to be so stupid, not even flinching in pain. Thud, just before hitting Yichu, his neck suddenly exploded. Bang, his mangled body crashed to Yichu's feet. Zuzuking screamed in terror, clutching his collar tightly. Yichu's face was now covered in blood, dripping down his chin onto Zuzuking in his arms. How did Big Brother Xiao's neck suddenly break? Sato was also horrified, cold sweat breaking out on his back. Kanbei shook his head, his expression grave. He didn't know either, the other party clearly hadn't used any soul skills. Shut up, Yichu's face was smeared with blood and bits of flesh, his bloodshot eyes staring at Zuzuking, scaring her into silence. Looking at the corpses lying on the ground, Yichu felt a mix of unease and excitement. How? Next? Who's next? He revealed a demonic, bloodthirsty smile to the remaining two, the only thing remaining white amidst the bloodlust. Chapter 36 Backstab. Damn it, Kanbei lived a life of constant danger, how dare this brat underestimate him? One by one? He wasn't stupid. Sato. You cover from behind, understood, Big Brother. Receiving the response, Kanbei immediately activated his martial soul and attacked Yichu. Leopard markings slowly spread across his body, and 4 soul rings, white, yellow, and purple, pulled around him. Yichu's expression hardened. This guy wasn't easy to deal with, he'd have to use some cunning. His left eye silently activated its divine might. An invisible attack, Kanbei felt a sharp pain in his neck and immediately activated his second soul skill, Speed Dash. He dodged and attacked Yichu again. The vines controlled by Sato also stabbed at Yichu from all sides. Don't resist. Seeing his attack miss, Yichu said to Zuzuking. A vortex appeared, and Zuzuking disappeared before everyone's eyes. Vanished. Kanbei's pupils constricted. What was going on? Never mind. Fourth soul skill, Soul Hooking Claw. Die, it's a fight to the death. There's no turning back now, just go for it. Third soul skill, Death Entanglement. Sato also activated his soul skill, restricting Yichu's movements. However, when the attack landed on Yichu, cold sweat poured down Kanbei's forehead, his eyes filled with shock. Poof, vines and claws swept across Yichu's body as easily as brushing against rags, offering no resistance. Bang, Kanbei's claws shattered Sato's vines. Watching Yichu pass through him and disappear before his eyes, Kanbei was startled. How similar this scene was. Sato. Watch out, turning back to Yichu's back, he shouted, quickly stopping his forward momentum and running towards Sato. Kid, come on. Sato controlled his vines, constantly trying to hinder Yichu, but against Kamui, all his attacks were pierced through, missing their mark. Whoosh, an arrow pierced the air, heading straight for Sato's throat. Clang. The leopard finally caught up, deflecting the arrow with a single claw. Yichu glanced at Sato, a smile playing on his lips, and retreated in time. Kid, how about we stop here this time? The leopard's face was grim as he tried to negotiate. No way, Yichu shook his head. Letting them go would only bring trouble, the dead were the most reliable. Are you determined to fight to the death? Fight to the death? You're not worthy of that. Yichu looked at the two of them mockingly, a cruel smile playing on his lips. Your soul power is almost depleted, isn't it? Their soul power was completely exposed before the Sharingan. Kid, 2 against 1, we might not be without a chance. The leopard's face was grim, but secretly he was slowly recovering his soul power. Negotiating a settlement was all nonsense. Delaying time was the real priority. 2 against 1? Tisk tisk tisk, Yichu chuckled, shaking his head. You're the one facing 2 against 1, what do you mean? PFFT, before Kanbei could finish speaking, he felt a sharp pain in his chest, staring in shock at his own flesh. A hard vine had pierced through his chest. Here, that's what I mean, Yichu pointed at his chest. Sato, you? He turned around unwillingly, unable to understand why his brother had betrayed him. PFFT. Ugh, the vine snapped out, spraying out a large amount of blood. Finally, Kanbei passed away, his face filled with confusion. Sato stood there motionless, like a puppet. Controlling a soul master won't work. But controlling a soul venerable is possible, Yichu rubbed his throbbing eyes. End your own life, the words fell, but Sato didn't move, his face contorted in struggle. Had he sensed the danger? Yichu frowned. It seemed the illusion wasn't too deep. In that case, he had no choice but to send Sato on his way himself. Thud, a hidden arrow pierced his throat, and just as he was about to die in the northwest, Sato regained consciousness. He looked around in a daze at the scene before him. When was his brother? Why was he so tired? Thud, he collapsed to the ground, blooming into a bewitching flower of blood. Huff, looking at the surrounding blood, Yichu also felt a little dizzy. The pungent smell of blood after the battle was indeed unpleasant. He retrieved the great horned bull, a soul beast originally intended for lunch but which had unexpectedly become a meat shield. A vortex appeared, and Yichu disappeared from the spot. In the divine might space, Zhu's Huking lay motionless on the cold ground. She didn't know where she was. The empty space filled her with fear. Fortunately, there was a beautiful blue-silver grass beside her. I wonder how he is, Zhu's Huking murmured softly. It's over. Yichu's figure suddenly appeared beside her, looking down at her. Ah, his sudden appearance startled her. Are you alright? Do I look like I'm hurt? Your face is covered in blood. I can't tell. She awkwardly looked away. Yet, your face is covered in blood too, and there's a handprint on it. Looks like I'll have to put some medicine on you again. Faced with Yichu's teasing, she glanced at him, said nothing more, and turned her head away, blushing. Yichu also squatted down and picked her up. Thank you for saving me again. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was very gentle. Yet, you're welcome. I'm quite touched that you were willing to exchange your innocence for my life. Is that all? Zhu's Huking looked up at him, not understanding why she was a little dissatisfied with this answer. Otherwise? Because you're pretty, Yichu raised an eyebrow. Although there was a little bit of that, it wasn't the main thing, okay? Their eyes met, and Zhu's Huking immediately looked away. Only then did she realize that there were square stone platforms all around, stretching as far as the eye could see. Where is this place? Driven by curiosity, she still asked. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Yichu's voice was a little cold. There was a reason why he hadn't put her in the divine might space before. What if she stabbed him in the back like Kazi did? He couldn't afford to take that risk. I'm sorry, it's okay. A vortex appeared, and Yichu led her to another stone platform. This was the living area. After putting her on the bed, Yichu filled a large water vat next to him and washed his face. Zhu's Huking then realized that he didn't have any soul tools on him. Those things were taken from here. She looked at Yichu's back strangely. After cleaning himself up, Yichu sat down on the edge of the bed with a wet towel in his hand and wiped her face. Miss Zhu Yeking, won't you reintroduce yourself? Looking at Yichu, who was bowing his head and carefully wiping away the bloodstains, Zhu's Huking felt a sense of warmth for some reason and stared at him without moving. My name is Zhu's Huking, from the Zhu family of the Star Luo Empire. My martial soul is the Netherworld Cat, and I'm a level 20, Wandering Soul Master. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you, I understand. After all, I was being chased. Hissed. The towel touched her cracked lips, and she grinned at Yichu, asking, what level are you? You actually managed to defeat a soul master, and even several soul venerables, same as you, a level 20, one-ring soul master. How is that possible? That's just how it is. In the midst of this question and answer exchange, Yichu gave her another full-body massage. Yichu's gaze swept over her chest. No wonder he didn't recognize her. You're about my age, but you've developed so quickly. Yichu, shut up. Zhu's Huking gritted her teeth, her face flushed. She was completely naked. Don't look, sob, huff, huff. Zhu's Huking breathed heavily, feeling strange. She hadn't reacted this strongly before. The anger and shame from before seemed to have faded considerably. Her eyes shimmered with tears as she quietly watched Yichu wipe her legs. She whimpered, gritting her teeth, unwilling to make a sound. Her body flushed an unnatural red, as if scalded. This time, Yichu was experienced. He dressed her with effortless grace, requiring no guidance whatsoever. Chapter 37. I Need You. On the outskirts of the starred-out great forest, in a clearing surrounded by trees, a fire blazed. Zhu's Huking sat on the ground, leaning against a tree trunk. She no longer looked haggard. Instead, she appeared aloof, even indifferent. Leaning against a tree, her eyes involuntarily drifted towards Yichu, who wasn't looking. He held skewers of beef, roasting them over the fire. Glancing at Zhu's Huking beside him, Yichu hadn't expected that the person he'd saved would become one of the Shrek 7 devils, and even more so, a future second-level god, the god of speed. Thinking of the Shrek 7 devils, Yichu couldn't help but think of that silly rabbit. Although they hadn't been apart for long, the sudden quiet around him made him feel a little uneasy. In the firelight, Xiao Wu's playful face seemed to appear, and a gentle smile appeared on Yichu's face. The aroma of roasted meat wafted through the air, golden oil droplets sizzling as they dripped onto the fire. All right. Let it cool a bit before eating. Yichu handed over the roasted meat. By the way, I shouldn't have to feed you this time, right? No need. After all this day, I can still move my arms without any problems. She took the meat from Yichu, her lips slightly upturned, blowing on it to cool it. That's good. Yichu planted the meat in the ground and lay down on the grass. The blue-silver emperor he had released playfully touched his cheek. A day had passed since the deaths of the remnant leopard and the others. During this time, Yichu had begun searching for soul beasts, but he still hadn't found any that satisfied him. The starred-out great forest was simply too vast. Even searching with his Sharingan took a considerable amount of time. Soul beasts that were only 1 or 2,000 years old were far from reaching the current limits of his Sharingan. Yichu speculated that his abilities should be able to control soul beasts over 3,000 years old. However, getting them to obediently sacrifice themselves might be a bit risky. Just like Sato before, when faced with a threat of death, one often has an immense will to survive. Unfortunately, I have too few attack methods, and I've run out of gunpowder. Sigh. Yichu felt regretful. A clear, cold voice came. What were you thinking about just now? Zhu's Huking's voice interrupted his thoughts. Nothing, I was just thinking about what kind of soul beast I should find. Zhu's Huking seemed a little nervous, picking at shredded beef with her fingers and putting it in her mouth, her eyes lowered. I mean, when you laughed just now, were you thinking of someone, huh? Yichu was taken aback, not understanding why she would ask such a question. I didn't mean anything by it, I just felt you rarely laugh, so I was curious. She glanced at him out of the corner of her eye and immediately looked away. Yichu looked at her strangely, put his hands behind his head, and said leisurely, well, I guess you could call me a person. Call me a person? What kind of answer is that? Zhu's Huking rolled her eyes at him and said nothing more. The meat was almost dry, and Yichu began to devour it. Can you help me become stronger? After a moment of silence, Zhu's Huking's voice turned cold again. Yichu quickly swallowed a beef in his mouth, looking at her in surprise, pointing to himself, I'm just a commoner. As the second young lady of the Zhu family, don't you have far more resources than me? You still need my help, I mean, help me hunt souls. Your strength is such that even a soul master can't handle you. Hunting a 100-year-old soul beast shouldn't be difficult, right? I can pay you. Zhu's Huking looked at him earnestly, waiting for his reply. Help you? And there's a reward? Hearing her words, Yichu's eyes lit up. In Douluo continent, the most common form of soul hunting is in teams. Teamwork not only increases hunting efficiency but also often allows the weak to defeat the strong. Although he didn't have gunpowder now, didn't he have a living teammate beside him? Yi Jiu tore off a piece of beef, chewing with relish, his eyes scanning Zhu Xiuqing. What are you looking at? I promised you a reward, but that doesn't mean you can have those filthy thoughts. Zhu Xiuqing covered her chest, looking at him cautiously. Cough cough. What are you thinking? Yi Jiu almost choked on his meat, casually tossing it aside and squatting down in front of her. He looked at her seriously. What do you want? Zhu Xiuqing's eyes darted away. He placed his hands on her shoulders. I need you. Ah, you need me. Zhu Xiuqing looked at him blankly, a little flustered, not understanding what he meant. Wasn't she the one who asked for his help first? I need your help, or rather, we can help each other. Help each other? I'm injured now, how can I help you? She pushed Yi Jiu's hands away. I'll help you obtain the second ring of the millennium. You help me hunt a soul beast over 3,000 years old, how about it? Yi Jiu stated his request bluntly. Are you out of your mind? Let's not even talk about whether I can help. I've never even heard of it before, never heard of a second ring of 1,000 years, huh? Yi Jiu picked up on her words amidst her strange gaze. Sometimes, facts speak louder than words. Yi Jiu directly activated his martial soul, a purple light rising from beneath his feet. How could this be? How is this possible? Zhu Xiuqing opened her mouth, somewhat incoherent, staring at him in shock, her eyes filled with that purple light. Yi Jiu leaned closer to her, pinching her chin, his voice seemingly possessed by magic, full of temptation. Don't you want to become stronger? As long as you obtain the purple second ring, your soul power will definitely increase by leaps and bounds, reducing how much hard training you'll have to do. He thought she would agree without hesitation, but instead, she froze, staring intently at the bloodshot in Yi Jiu's eyes, her lips slightly parted. She's going to agree. Seeing her reaction, Yi Jiu was overjoyed. However, the voice he expected didn't sound. Zhu Xiuqing's face continued to grow larger and his eyes pop. Yi Jiu's body trembled, his eyes losing focus. A cool sensation touched his lips, a slippery feeling filled his mouth. His hands cupped her face, her eyes misting over. Yi Jiu froze, his soul power ceasing to circulate, the Sharingan in his eyes slowly fading. A moment later, Zhu Xiuqing's body temperature slowly returned, her eyes regained clarity, her pupils dilated, and the two stared at each other. A blush rose on her face, and with a glare, she pushed Yi Jiu away. Yi Jiu lay on the ground, savoring the lingering, peculiar feeling, lost in thought for a long time. Zhu Xiuqing covered her mouth, her small chest heaving, her earlobes practically bleeding. She glared at Yi Jiu with hatred, wishing she could cut off her own tongue. Suddenly, it became quiet, only the rustling of leaves in the wind. A withered leaf fell from the tree, landing on Yi Jiu's brow. He shuddered, finally snapping back to reality. Yes, no. He hurriedly stood up and apologized to Zhu Xiuqing, but was interrupted before he could finish. I agree, huh? Looking at him coldly, Zhu Xiuqing said again. I said, I agree to help each other. Her voice was also cold. Great. Yi Jiu first clenched his fist, then explained to her, just now enough. That was just an accident, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Her small hand was clenched so tightly it turned white. If you dare to tell anyone what happened between us, I will definitely kill you. I definitely will. She glared fiercely at Yi Jiu, her words resolute. Even though she felt a little flutter in her heart, her status required her to abandon this unrealistic idea. Yi Jiu also calmed down. He didn't quite understand her thoughts, but he knew that she really didn't want to talk about it anymore. Okay. Don't worry, I'll keep all this to myself, Zhu Xiuqing nodded, her eyes dimming slightly. Chapter 38 Strong-willed. Yi Jiu turned around and wiped the drool from the corner of his mouth. What do I need to do to absorb the 1,000-year soul ring? Shaking off his displeasure, Zhu Xiuqing now only wanted to become stronger. Aren't you going to ask if there are any risks? He extinguished the fire and looked at her. These risks are nothing compared to survival, she said coldly, even slowly supporting herself on a tree trunk, leaning on her right leg to stand up. As long as I can become stronger, I'm willing to endure any hardship. I see. Yi Jiu fell silent. This girl was indeed just like in the original story, diligent in her cultivation and resolute in her character. The one with the worst talent but the most hard-working. Holding the blue-silver emperor in her arms, a six-pointed star appeared in her eyes. The iron-hoofed horse, which she hadn't ridden in a long time, appeared before Yi Jiu. Here, Help me hold it. He handed her the flower pot containing the blue silver emperor. He then picked her up, and Zhu Xiuqing, caught off guard, exclaimed, what are you doing? Nothing, you can barely walk like this. Here, you ride. Yichu placed her on the horse's back, answering her earlier question casually, absorbing the spirit ring. You don't need to prepare anything, just focus on healing your injuries. Yichu led the way, holding the reins, while Zhu Xiuqing rode on the horse, holding the blue-silver emperor in her arms. They slowly made their way through the forest. With Yichu's Sharingan as a means of reconnaissance, many spirit beasts could avoid them in advance. Watching Yichu's back, Zhu Xiuqing hugged the blue-silver emperor tightly, lost in thought. Time flew by, and before they knew it, Yichu and Zhu Xiuqing had been in the starred-out Great Forest for almost half a month. During the day, Yichu led the horse, taking her wandering around, watching the sunrise and sunset together, searching for suitable spirit beasts for the two of them. At night, Yichu would take her into the Divine Might space to spend the night. Now, Zhu Xiuqing's injuries had fully healed. Carrying a 10-year-old soul beast bamboo rat, she walked into a cave. Here. This is my lunch. I really don't know why you don't eat rabbit, it's clearly tastier than this, she muttered, tossing the bamboo rat in front of Yichu before turning to sit beside him. Because she hadn't fought in a long time, she suggested going hunting to regain her fighting spirit. Unexpectedly, she caught a whole litter of rabbits on her first try. Oh well, I promised I wouldn't eat rabbit anymore, Yichu chuckled, picking up the bamboo rat and starting to prepare it. Speaking of which, I didn't expect you to be such a good hunter. My older sister at home always targets me. I usually cook for myself. She was used to it, fiddling with her left leg to see if it was clean. I see Yichu didn't say anything more, silently roasting the bamboo rat. Since the last accident, Yichu understood that she didn't want much interaction with him, especially since he already had a rabbit. Zhu Xiuqing frowned, her mood somewhat irritated by Yichu's occasional distancing. This should have been her ideal situation, yet she couldn't feel happy. My body has fully recovered. When can we go soul hunting? After this meal. There's a suitable one among the shadow spiders we encountered earlier. Have you thought it over? If not, we can change. Yichu had already considered the choice of soul beast. Since Tang San could use poison on that blade of grass, why couldn't an agility type? The combination of armor penetration and poison would be very suitable for Zhu Xiuqing. It's well known that agility type soul masters generally have low attack power, acting like assassins, lurking around enemies, waiting for an opportunity to strike. If they encounter someone with strong defense, they might not even be able to hurt their vital points, but with poison, even a minor scratch would be enough to cause serious damage. Fine, I'll do as you say. I trust you. Yichu remained unmoved by Zhu Xiuqing's gaze, looking at the barbecue in his hand. In that case, let's move out this afternoon, okay? Outside the shadow spider swarm's nest, a transparent vortex appeared out of thin air, and the two figures materialized on a tree branch. Yichu had already scouted the area and marked the location beforehand. The shadow spiders usually hunted alone, they only needed to wait here. I'll lure out one that's about 2,000 years old. You wait for me at the destination, Yichu instructed Zhu Xiuqing. I want to do it myself, however, she wasn't very appreciative. Faced with Yichu's puzzlement, she looked at the dark nest. I don't want to sit back and reap the benefits. Besides, with your abilities, saving me shouldn't be a problem, right? Yichu nodded helplessly. I really don't know whether to call you strong-willed or stubborn. Go if you want, I'll wait for you. Yichu was helpless against her strong-willed personality. Okay, Zhu Xiuqing nodded. Time passed slowly. In Yichu's sight, a shadow spider with legs about 4 meters long was about to emerge from its cave. It's coming, get ready. Hearing Yichu's voice, she immediately became alert. Swoosh, the spider's legs dug into the soil with a soft sound, and its massive body slowly emerged from the cave, heading outside. Zhu Xiuqing immediately followed. Yichu, however, used his divine power to quietly leave the tree branch. When the shadow spider had gone far enough, a beam of light flew from Zhu Xiuqing's sleeve, striking its eyes and causing sparks to fly. The shadow spider let out a strange cry, as if it had spotted delicious food, and immediately crawled towards Zhu Xiuqing. Bang! Some small trees were snapped in two as it approached Zhu Xiuqing, extending its legs to pierce its prey. First soul skill, Netherworld Thrust. Zhu Xiuqing's figure suddenly lunged forward, and the spider's leg attack missed. Yichu told her that nether thrust could be used not only as an attack skill but also as an evasive maneuver. Each time the shadow spider was about to close in, Zhu's Huking used her first soul skill, nether thrust, to accelerate and create distance. She gritted her teeth and ran at full speed. The meeting point with Yichu was not far away. As she ran, it seemed as if she had lost all movement behind her. Turning around, her expression froze, and she paused. The shadow spider had vanished. Drip. A sudden pain shot through her shoulder. A drop of venom had landed on it, corroding her clothes. Her face paled, and she abruptly looked up, only to find the shadow spider hanging above her head, its disgusting mouth parts drooling. PFFT, a web coated in venom sprayed directly at her. Zhu's Huking rolled to dodge, and several more spider legs lashed out, dodging several times. A little corrosive venom splashed onto her leg, causing her to lose her balance and fall to the ground. PFFT, a mouthful of venom sprayed towards her face. Zhu's Huking watched helplessly as the venom drew closer, gritting her teeth. I'm still too weak, Kamui. At the crucial moment, Yichu arrived just in time, diverting all the venom with his Sharingan. A sharp, piercing cry rang out. It wouldn't let its plans be ruined, and the shadow spider abandoned Zhu's Huking and charged towards Yichu. Yichu, watch out! Seeing that it was about to crash into him, Zhu's Huking couldn't help but warn it, but what she saw next was incomprehensible. How could this be? Swoosh! The shadow spider's legs plunged into the ground, stopping just in time in front of Yichu. It remained motionless, even when Yichu stood on its back. It didn't budge. Chapter 39 Shadow 100 Kills. The shadow spider, temporarily controlled by Yichu's Sharingan, leaped onto its back and stood there. To Zhu's Huking's disbelief, the shadow spider turned around and lay prone on the ground, as if inviting her to join it. How are you? Are you alright? Yichu crossed his arms, a gentle breeze ruffling his black hair, a hint of triumphant pride in his expression. I'm fine. Zhu's Huking shook her head and got up. Interested in trying what it's like to ride a spider, he extended his hand, inviting her. Her eyes gleamed with interest, clearly tempted. She nodded, grabbed Yichu's hand, and leaped up. The shadow spider carried the two of them, traversing the jungle. How did you do that? Looking at the receding shadows of the trees, riding a giant spider through the starred-out great forest. She thought this behavior was, truly, Thai style. A relaxed smile appeared on her face. This is the ability of my martial soul. Yichu pointed to his eyes, which were covered by black silk. I see. Zhu's Huking looked at him, her expression somewhat unnatural. The black ribbon was cut from her stockings. Yichu had no choice, other fabrics would obstruct his vision, but this porous black ribbon was perfect. They arrived at a huge cave, where shadow spiders hung from the ceiling, spinning silk. Yichu also untied the ribbon from his eyes, his gaze glowing red. What should I do? Kill it now. Looking at this 2,000-year-old soul beast, Zhu's Huking felt a little nervous. She didn't know if she could survive. You don't need to do anything. Just accept its sacrificial energy, and I'll ensure you receive the greatest benefit. Yichu pulled her directly beneath the shadow spiders. Sacrifice? Zhu's Huking stared at him blankly, her heart racing. Was this really possible? If so, wouldn't she receive a huge benefit? You're not lying to me. Why would I lie to you? Get ready. Yichu impatiently pinned her down on the ground, straightened her legs, and pressed down on her shoulders. You want to get stronger, right? Then trust me. Have you forgotten my first step? Zhu's Huking looked at his reddened eyes, her face flushing, and nodded gently. I believe you. She then sat up straight. Seeing this, Yichu didn't delay any longer, his eyes flashing with a six-pointed starlight. The upside-down shadow spider was still struggling in its death throes. Looks like it's still a bit too much. Yichu touched his eye socket, then suddenly glared at it. Since that's the case, then he'd increase his output. Blood flowed from the corner of his eye, followed by a purple glow from the shadow spider. After a mournful cry, purple mist rose from its body, like an upside-down purple waterfall, cascading down onto Zhu's Huking below. It's begun. HMPH. Zhu's Huking let out a muffled groan. Even without Yichu's reminder, she knew the sacrifice had started. A torrent of soul power, enough to fill her body, surged in, her face flushed. Hold on. Only by absorbing as much energy as possible can you reap the greatest benefits, Yichu encouraged her from the side. He didn't intend to help, he believed that with her willpower, she could persevere. Yichu sat down cross-legged facing the cave entrance. He had expended too much spiritual energy and needed to recover. Time slowly passed, the inverted purple waterfall became increasingly slender, and Zhu Zhuking's aura gradually stopped rising. First, a yellow halo appeared beneath her, followed by a faint purple halo. Gradually, the purple became more solid, and after a few small tremors, it subsided. Yichu had already stood up. Watching the disappearing purple light, he knew she had finished absorbing. Zhu Zhuking slowly opened her eyes filled with uncontrollable joy. Yichu! I did it! I did it! She leaped into Yichu's arms, hugging his neck and jumping up and down. Only now did she show the true spirit of a girl, lively and overjoyed. Congratulations on obtaining your second purple soul ring, Zhu Zhuking reacted, her face blooming with a beautiful smile, her eyes darting around. Seeing the bloodstains on Yichu's face, she reached out and touched his cheek. Yichu blushed at the girl's touch, and just as he was about to push her hand away, Zhu Zhuking hugged him again. She wrapped her arms around his back, resting her head on his shoulder, her warm voice reaching his ears. Yichu, thank you. Her lips parted slightly, about to press against his cheek. It's nothing, just helping each other out. Yichu gently patted her back. This was just what they had agreed on at the beginning. Is that all? Yichu's words made Zhu Zhuking stop, gritting her teeth, her expression turning cold again, and she abruptly pushed him away. Yichu looked at her strangely, not noticing any change in her expression. What's wrong? Nothing, I feel great. She turned her head away, even though she shouldn't be concerned about such things. By the way, how's your harvest? Yichu is still curious about how much her soul power had increased. Mentioning this, her cold face softened considerably. The sacrifice of the 2,000-year-old soul beast had indeed benefited her greatly. My soul power reached level 24, and my second soul skill is called Shadow 100 Kills. Just as you predicted, it has a poisonous attribute. Summoning her martial soul, a pair of cat ears appeared on her head, and her chest seemed to have swelled up considerably. According to her, her second soul skill, Shadow 100 Kills, not only increased piercing power by 50% and allowed for continuous attacks without limit, but the venom on her claws was also corrosive. Once someone was injured and came into contact with her venom, their flesh and soul power would be continuously corroded. Very powerful. Yichu felt that this move was much more powerful than her original Netherworld 100 Claws. Yes, Zhu Zhuking nodded in agreement. This was a second soul ring from 1,000 years ago. Yichu approached the dead shadow spider and slowly searched it with his Sharingan. What are you looking for? A soul bone, a soul bone, Zhu Zhuking exclaimed in surprise. Huh? Found it? Yichu leaped up, activating his Xuanyu hand, and ripped off the dark soul bone. Zhu Zhuking also peered over, looking at the soul bone in Yichu's hand. Really? Yes, soul beasts that willingly sacrifice themselves can produce soul bones, although it's forced upon them, Yichu explained with a smile, surprised that this was yet another external soul bone. I see. But this soul bone looks strange. Which part is it from? Seeing that the soul bone in his hand resembled a spider specimen, Zhu Zhuking became puzzled. This is an external soul bone. It's rarer and more precious than a 100,000-year soul bone because it can evolve as the soul master grows. It's even possible for it to surpass a 100,000-year soul bone, Yichu patiently explained. What? An evolving soul bone? Zhu Zhuking had never heard of such a thing before, her eyes filled with longing, but she quickly looked away. Yichu absorbed it quickly. He stood there for a while, considering, but finally shook his head. No, I'll give it to you. Yichu still didn't intend to absorb it and placed it in Zhu Zhuking's hand. What do you mean by this? I don't want it. Zhu Zhuking immediately tried to shove it back at him. She had already gained enough. Without Yichu, she would be dead. She dared not ask for anything more. Chapter 40 Jade-Eyed Cloud-Winged Tiger. Yichu grabbed the hand she offered. Take it. I'm not giving it to you for free. Besides, with my abilities, would I lack soul bones? Better ones will come along eventually. What do you mean? You do me a favor, and this will be your reward. Besides, you absorbed its soul ring, you're clearly a better match for it. Do you a favor? What is it? Since Yichu didn't want it, she didn't hesitate and accepted it. With his monstrous abilities, he certainly wouldn't lack anything. Help me acquire the soul ring first, then I'll tell you. Yichu stroked his chin. In his view, Zhu Zhuking would definitely go to Soto City in the future. Giving her the external soul bone was like finding a bodyguard for Xiao Wu. Go absorb it first, maybe it can even increase the age of my soul ring. Yichu wanted to see how much this soul bone could improve her strength. If possible, he could even appropriately increase her original expectation of a 3,000-year soul beast. I'll absorb it now. Looking at Yichu's somewhat eccentric behavior, Zhu Xiuqing didn't know what he wanted her to do, but she was quite satisfied with this soul bone. It was an external soul bone. She sat down cross-legged again and began absorbing the soul bone. The external soul bone floated up and slowly sank into her back, gradually embedding itself into her flesh. The excruciating pain made her scream, cold sweat pouring down her body. PFFT, a jet black spider leg stretched out from her back, followed by a second, then a third. After a high-pitched scream, all 8 spider legs emerged, supporting Zhu Xiuqing's entire body. All absorbed, Yichu looked up at her, but unexpectedly, she ran towards him. Hey, are you trying to stab me to death? Before he could even approach, a spider spear pierced him. If he hadn't dodged in time, he would have been stabbed right through the heart. I'm sorry. I can't control it right now. Zhu Xiuqing was also very uncomfortable, suspended in the air, stumbling around. Don't be nervous, take a deep breath. Yichu quickly used his divine might illusion, standing in place and guiding her. It's a part of you, slowly feel its presence. Amidst her exclamations, after a flurry of poking around in the cave, she finally calmed down. Covered in sweat swoosh, she put away the 8 spider spears, nearly collapsing from exhaustion, but Yichu caught her. It seems you still need some time to get used to it. He picked her up again. Yet, just wait a few days. Zhu Xiuqing leaned against him, still slightly out of breath. A vortex appeared, and Yichu carried her into the divine might space. 3 days later, at noon, in a small valley, from a distance, it looked like a thin spider was constantly moving among a pack of wolves. Under a tree beside the valley, Yichu rode the Wolf King, gnawing on wolf meat, leisurely watching Zhu Xiuqing's performance. A figure with 8 spider legs on its back leaped towards Yichu. Swoosh, the spider legs pierced the tree, leaving Zhu Xiuqing suspended in midair, facing Yichu. Her eyes were filled with confidence and joy. Yichu, I've almost mastered the Shadow Spider Spear. The Shadow Spider Spear was a name Zhu Xiuqing had given herself. After absorbing it, her soul power broke through again, reaching level 25. With the amplification from the Shadow Spider Spear, her speed and attack power had greatly increased. She felt that she could defeat a ruthless sister even if she faced her alone now. Then congratulations, just as Yichu had expected, the quality was slightly inferior to Tang San's 8 spider spears, but it was still quite good. When do we set off to hunt souls for you? Let's wait until you recover your soul power. Yichu patted his mount. Wu the Wolf King howled, and a she-wolf ran over from afar. Yichu looked up. Zhu Xiuqing, come down quickly. Why are you hanging in the tree? My neck is sore. He chuckled, put away his spider spear, and landed on the mother wolf's back. Where to? Let's go to the vicinity of our target first. At this speed, you should be almost fully recovered by then. The two rode the wolf side by side, slowly walking into the distance. Yichu, what? Just call me Xiuqing from now on if you consider me a friend. A gentle breeze ruffled her hair, her dark eyes glancing at Yichu beside her. Friend? No problem, Yichu nodded, it was just a form of address. Okay, hearing his response, Zhu Xiuqing stared straight ahead, silent, only feeling the warmth of the wind. These past 2 weeks had been the most pleasant time of her life. Zhu Xiuqing's soul power had fully recovered. After sending the 2 wolves back, Yichu led her to the outside of a cave. Inside was his new target, a nearly 4,000-year-old soul beast, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger. A series of soft roars echoed from inside the cave. Zhu Xiuqing, you wait here. Yichu's Sharingan flashed. He was going to go in first and lure it out. Call me Xiuqing. She frowned slightly. This girl. Her voice made Yichu pause, turn around, and reply, okay, Xiuqing. I'll be careful next time. She didn't forget to remind him before leaving. By the way, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger is huge. When it comes out, lure it into the forest. It can't maneuver there, I know. Zhu Xiuqing nodded in satisfaction, whether because of Yichu's reminder or his way of addressing her. She watched Yichu walk into the cave, not knowing what he did. Roar! Suddenly, a violent roar rolled out from the cave, echoing hundreds of meters away. Yichu quickly ran out, Behind him a 5-meter-long, robust white tiger. It had a king character pattern on its forehead, emerald green eyes, and transparent wings on its back for low-altitude gliding. A 3-meter-long tail trailed behind it. This thing is so fast, Yichu is about to lure it into the forest as planned. Roar! A tiger's roar suddenly echoed in his mind. Yichu felt a momentary daze, his escape faltering. The jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger seized the opportunity, gliding down from 4 meters in the air, its paw slamming heavily onto Yichu's head. Boom! The ground shattered, dust billowing everywhere. Yichu? Zhu's Huking's worried voice rang out from afar. I'm alright, whoosh. Yichu emerged from the dust, realizing his carelessness. He hadn't expected this soul beast to possess mental attacks, anyone else would have been dead. Even Yichu had almost been caught off guard. He quickly rejoined Zhu's Huking. Zhu's Huking. When the battle starts, if you see it open its mouth, use your soul power to plug its ears. Its voice carries a mental attack, got it? By the way, what happened to it? Why is it so crazy? Zhu's Huking turned around, looking at the tiger that was relentlessly chasing after them. It killed other soul beasts with a single swipe of its claws and knocked down trees in its path. It was simply insane and brutal. Yichu chuckled awkwardly. It seemed a bit inappropriate to tell a girl this. Well, actually I didn't want to. I was afraid it wouldn't cooperate, so I used the hidden arrow to hit it in the back. Who knew it would suddenly stick its butt out and then, it shot on there, cough cough, disgusting. She glared at him, her face flushed with anger, and with a burst of speed, she left him behind. As the saying goes, you can't touch a tiger's butt, let alone poke it. Today, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger and humans will fight to the death. The May Day holiday has begun, so here's an extra chapter. I wish everyone a happy holiday. Thank you for your recommendation tickets and monthly tickets. Chapter 41 Bloodstained Arm. How can you blame me? Who told it to keep moving around even when it's lying down? Yichu complained, quickly following after it. He was innocent too, okay? The two ran, taunting the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger following behind. Once they entered the denser forest, its gliding ability was basically useless. Zuquing. Okay, start attacking it. Seeing that they had the advantage of terrain, Yichu stopped her. Okay. I'm going. Poof. Zuquing was ruthless and didn't say much. She immediately activated her shadow spider spear sizzle. The spear pierced the ground and trees, bringing up wisps of black smoke, filled with corrosive venom. Roar! The tiger roared, an invisible wave surged in all directions. The tiger's paw slammed down, and Zuquing quickly dodged. Fortunately, she used her soul power to plug her ears in time, otherwise she would definitely have been hit. Yichu's attack methods were too limited. His left eye's divine power was easy to dodge, so he had to use his ethereal ability to attack at close range. He walked around it with a dagger coated with shadow spider venom, occasionally delivering a cold stab. Zhu's Huking darted through the forest, her shadow spider lances allowing her to stand steadily on the trees. Roar! The jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger, suffering from the venom, roared in agony, but its mental attacks were ineffective. Enraged, it lashed out with its tail at Yichu, slicing through the air with a piercing sound. Whoosh! At the same time, Zhu's Huking leaped to land on its back. Zhuking, don't be impulsive. Be careful. Whoosh! The jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger flapped its wings, sending several wind blades slicing towards her. Damn it! The tail had only just pierced half of Yichu's body. He couldn't use divine might to rescue her. Thud! Zhu's Huking crashed heavily into a tree, blood trickling from her mouth. Roar! With a pounce, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger charged at her, its azure eyes filled with savagery from the pain. Divine might, Yichu, now free, looked at its forelimbs. Its forelegs were slightly twisted, blood seeping from its white fur. After a mournful cry, it finally gave up attacking Zhu's Huking, dodging Shenwei and moving away from her. Are you alright? Yichu shielded her behind him, ready to take her away if anything went wrong. I'm fine. Don't worry about me, keep going. Zhu's Huking wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth with her arm. Fortunately, she had blocked the wind blade with her shadow spider spears, otherwise she would have been in danger. Swish! She climbed onto a branch again. This time, she didn't act recklessly. Following Yichu's instructions, she slowly boiled the frog, fighting and retreating. The sun had already set quite a distance, and the light in the emerald cloud-winged tiger's green eyes was slowly fading. Having long intended to retreat, it was destined to perish here. Yichu had also stopped attacking and was recovering on the side, leaving Zhu Xiuqing toying with it alone. That's enough, Xiuqing. As soon as Yichu's voice fell, she landed directly on the ground, her 8 spider spears moving rapidly, heading straight for the emerald cloud-winged tiger. Roar! The tiger's roar had lost its original loudness, becoming low and listless. From afar, it unleashed a wind blade, which Zhu Xiuqing easily dodged. As it drew closer, the tiger's paw slammed down again, and Zhu Xiuqing's yellow spirit ring pulsed. First spirit skill, Netherworld Thrust, with a whoosh. Assisted by her spider legs, her already increased speed became even faster, transforming into blur as she rushed to its side. Her purple spirit ring lit up. Second spirit skill, Shadow 100 Kills, Zhu Xiuqing coldly shouted, her movements becoming ruthless. Thud, X, and her sharp claws relentlessly attacked its abdomen, black blood splattering everywhere. After over 100 consecutive strikes, she even plunged the remaining spider spears behind her directly into the tiger's body. Having tried absorbing the spirit power of spirit beasts, she had become somewhat addicted to the feeling, a blissful expression on her face. Roar after a mournful roar, thud, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger crashed to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Hey, 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 seeing that Zhu Xiuqing still hadn't taken out the spider spear, Yichu quickly ran over. Stop absorbing it. If you die, won't we have to start all over again? Swoosh, Zhu Xiuqing slowly put the spider spear away. Don't worry, I'm just absorbing some power to replenish my soul power, Yichu said seriously. Don't use this devouring ability recklessly. Not only will it destroy your foundation, but using it to improve your cultivation might even turn you into an evil soul master. You said it, I remember it, she smiled at Yichu. She wouldn't do anything to ruin her future. Even if she absorbed the power of a soul beast, she would only use it to evolve the shadow spider spear. Good that you understand. Yichu didn't want to ruin someone's future by giving away a soul bone. It was better to be clear about some things. Stop nagging. If you keep talking, this tiger will really be done for. Zhu Xiuqing pointed to the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger on the ground, which was already exhaling more than it was inhaling. Yichu glared at her again, causing her to cover her mouth and chuckle. She hadn't meant to be so harsh. Reaching tiger, there was no time to move the scene. He sat down cross-legged and pried open its nearly closed emerald green eyes. A red light flashed in the emerald green eyes, and its entire body began to warm, radiating a purple halo that enveloped Yichu like a purple silkworm cocoon. This guy's martial soul is just too overpowered, Zhu Xiuqing muttered quietly, watching him. Time slowly passed. The battle with the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger had already taken up a lot of time, and the sky was gradually darkening. The sounds of small insects filled the air, and a cold wind blew, making Zhu Xiuqing feel a chill. Why isn't it over yet? Although the purple cocoon was slowly fading, Yichu still hadn't appeared. Russell, more soul beasts are coming, Zhu Xiuqing frowned. She had already driven away several waves, but they were still coming at night. Hiss, a giant, dark snake, 12 meters long, slowly appeared before Zhu Xiuqing, its tongue lolling out. A 6,000-year-old iron-scaled python. Damn it, Zhu Xiuqing glanced back at Yichu. She couldn't retreat. Swoosh, the shadow spider spears behind her activated instantly, and 2 spirit rings, one yellow and one purple, slowly rose from beneath her. First and second spirit skills. Netherworld Thrust, Shadow 100 Kills. Yichu, you'd better hurry. Whoosh, she charged straight out, without any technique, just going for the kill. The snake's massive size was its disadvantage. The snake tried to dodge, but Zhu Xiuqing wouldn't allow it, relentlessly attacking its head. Clang. Clang. Clang, sparks flashed across its iron-like scales. After dozens of strikes, only then could one hear the faint sound of flesh being pierced. Even the spider spears behind her continued to pierce the same spot. Hiss, the snake, in pain, lashed out, sending Zhu Xiuqing flying backward. Her vertical pupils were fixed on her prey. Swish, the long body surrounded Zhu Xiuqing, its raised head looking down at her. If she tried to escape now, perhaps she could still make it. Thinking of Yichu, she gritted her teeth. Anyway, I was already dead. Clang. Clang. Clang, it relentlessly attacked the shrinking encirclement. As the encirclement tightened, the snake's tail slapped the air, creating a crackling sound, and swept towards Zhu Xiuqing, striking her solidly in the chest. PFFT, Zhu Xiuqing spat out a mouthful of blood, collapsing to the ground, barely able to stand thanks to the shadow spider spears. The stench of blood further fueled the iron-scaled python's ferocity, and it opened its blood-red maw to bite her. A foul-smelling gust of wind reached Zhu Zhuking's face. "Is it over?" Zhu Zhuking murmured to herself, her eyes involuntarily turning towards Yichu's direction. A flicker of surprise flashed in her eyes. The giant purple cocoon had broken. "It's good that he survived. I don't owe him anything anymore," she thought, slowly closing her eyes. However, the expected pain didn't come. Instead, she heard a loud explosion. Bang! A deafening crash echoed as the giant python roared. Zhu Zhuking opened her eyes to see a massive, blood-red arm stretched across her face, devoid of any flesh. The iron-scaled python that had been grinning at her had been sent flying, crashing heavily to the ground. What is that? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Black Flames. Zhu Zhuking's eyes widened as she turned around, only to find Yichu standing beside her. Bloodshot eyes, tears streaming down his face, and a massive, blood-red arm extending from behind Yichu, his body encased in a ring of rib-like structures. Was this his new soul skill? Cough cough, still reeling from the shock, Zhu Zhuking suddenly coughed, her hand covering her mouth stained crimson. The massive, blood-red arm bone dissipated into thin air, and Yichu came over to support her. "Are you alright?" "I'm fine, I won't die." His cough cough, leaning against Yichu, she wouldn't die, but her ribs were likely broken again. Even breathing hurt. "It's good you're alright, I'll avenge you right now." Yichu's voice carried a chilling killing intent. If Zhu Zhuking died, he would feel terrible, and wouldn't he be next? In the distance, the iron-scaled python, its head bleeding from the blows of the red bone arm, finally regained its senses. The python roared, its blood-red maw gaping wide, its vertical pupils fixed on Yichu's figure. Its 10-meter-long body coiled like a spring. Hiss! It flicked its tongue, its head like a spearhead, charging straight at Yichu like a spear. With a startled cry from Zhu Zhuking, Yichu swiftly scooped her up and leaped to a nearby tree. Boom! A giant tree snapped in two. Yichu faced the giant python below, his right eye tightly closed, blood slowly trickling from the corner, uttering words Zhu Zhuking couldn't understand. Amaterasu, his right eye opened, bloodshot and swirling. On fire? Black fire, Zhu Zhuking watched as the iron-scaled python's body suddenly burst into flames. Hiss! Bang! Bang! The giant iron-scaled python writhed and rolled, but it couldn't extinguish the black flames on its body. Instead, the flames burned even more fiercely, its eyes filled with terror as it repeatedly crashed into the surrounding trees and rocks. A moment later, the giant iron-scaled python was completely burned away, leaving only a purple soul ring in the air, a chilling sight in the darkness. Gulp! What terrifying flames! Zhu Zhuking swallowed hard, looking at Yichu who was holding her, somewhat incoherently. "Yichu, is this your soul skill?" "Yes, it's my right eye's soul skill," called Amaterasu, looking at the devastation below, the scorched earth. Yichu touched his eye, quite satisfied. "It's just that using this move requires some blood." "Amaterasu? What did you just shout?" "That's its other name, it actually means the same thing." Yichu's face was somewhat pale. "Let's enter my divine might space first, okay?" Zhu Zhuking nodded. The night in the starred-out Great Forest was far too dangerous. Wait, Zhu Zhuking looked at Yichu in surprise. He just mentioned the soul skill of his right eye? Could it be that he has another soul skill for his left eye? Is it that red arm from earlier? Although she had many questions, she didn't ask them aloud. She didn't want to be reprimanded like last time when she asked about the divine might space. A vortex appeared, and the two figures disappeared into the forest. As soon as they entered the divine might space, Yichu, who was holding Zhu Zhuking, was trembling all over. "Yichu, are you alright?" Zhu Zhuking looked at him worriedly. "Put me down first, it's nothing, just a little pain in my body and eyes. I'm not used to the new soul skill yet." He then put Zhu Zhuking on the bed she was familiar with. "But you suffered such a serious injury because of me." Yichu also felt a little apologetic. The sacrifice of the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger shouldn't have taken so long, but during the absorption process, he discovered that the Sharingan seemed to be hiding something. In order to successfully find that power, he was delayed for so long. It's nothing, you've saved me several times already, I only saved you once. Lying on the bed, Zhu Zhuking's face was already flushed. I'll have to trouble you again next time, no problem. Where are you hurt? Yichu rolled up his sleeves. In the past half-month, he had quite a bit of experience in treating injuries. She looked away, pursing her lips nervously. My ribs in my chest cavity are broken again. Oh, that's my specialty, Yichu blurted out in a moment of slip-up. It reminded her of their previous frankness, eliciting a scolding from her indignant embarrassment. You. Shut up, you shameless bastard, she scratched her head sheepishly. Come on, turning her face to the side, she began to unbutton her clothes. Ahem, Yichu stood beside her, coughing twice before tilting her head back. What's wrong? Zhu Zhuking looked at her in confusion. Had she done something wrong? Actually, you don't need to take off your clothes this time. You can apply the medicine yourself. Yichu's voice was like dry tinder. Zhu Zhuking froze, her face burning red. Why didn't you say so sooner? You were the one who took it off too quickly, you peaked. You shameless, nonsense. I was clearly checking if you were dressed. Ah. You bastard. Amidst Zhu Zhuking's screams and curses, her ribs were set. Leaving her to apply the medicine, Yichu walked to the side, turned his back to her, sat cross-legged, and tallied his gains. Thanks to the sacrifice of the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger and the surplus soul power from absorbing the right leg bone of the 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor, his level had reached 26. This rate of improvement was terrifying. In terms of soul skills, he finally had a few more attack methods. His left eye Tsukuyomi, a type of illusion, was incredibly powerful. When activated, it only required eye contact with the opponent to pull their mind into an illusionary world. In this world, everything, time, place, mass, etc., was manipulated at will by Yichu, delivering a devastating blow to the opponent's mind. The right eye's Amaterasu, in the Naruto world, is known as the strongest physical attack. It can unleash an inextinguishable black flame at the focal point of the gaze until the target is completely burned away. And the opportunity brought by the addition of the second ring allowed Yichu to use his Sharingan's true spirit form, Susanoo, ahead of schedule. Although he can only use the first stage now, no head, only ribs and arms, it's still a powerful offensive and defensive method. Sigh, Yichu sighed. These skills, while powerful, are extremely taxing on the body. Especially Susanoo, using it not only depletes his mental energy but also leaves his entire body feeling like it's being pricked by needles. Think of Tang Sen, who only managed to use his true spirit form ahead of schedule thanks to the 7-in-1 technique, and couldn't use it a second time for a short period. He lay down straight, hands behind his head. Sigh. My true spirit form is still a bit far off, it's better to use it sparingly as a trump card, Yichu. I've applied the medicine. Zhu Zhuking quietly came to Yichu's side, she had even changed her clothes. Why don't you rest a bit more? Can your body handle it? Yichu propped himself up and gestured for her to sit down. I'm not that fussy. Zhu Zhuking sat down next to Yichu, her face pale, and for some reason, she seemed a little melancholy. What were you thinking about just now? Nothing, Yichu chuckled. Is that so? Seeing that Yichu didn't want to say more, she didn't ask any further. What about the tiger's soul bone? Did you get it back? Of course I got it back. Yichu smiled and took out a piece of green soul bone from somewhere. Here, this is the soul bone it dropped. It's a rare head soul bone. I guess its skill is related to mental attacks. You're so lucky. It's either an external soul bone or a head soul bone. Zhu Zhuking took the soul bone and examined it carefully. It's quite pretty. Do you want to absorb it? Yichu's lips twitched. This color on his head? He didn't have any particular fetishes. No, its age is still too young. It's better to exchange it for some money at the auction. Why don't you sell it to me? Zhu Zhuking asked tentatively. Don't even think about absorbing it. This thing will only hold you back. You won't be able to exchange it later. Yichu snatched it away, rolling his eyes at her. Can beauty feed you? You didn't buy it because I thought it was pretty, did you? Seeing Yichu's expression, she voiced her suspicion, her face somewhat dangerous. How could I? How could I think so shallowly of you? Yichu waved his hands repeatedly. Then he got up and walked to his bed. To make himself more comfortable, Yichu even made another bed. You're injured, you should rest early. Chapter 43 You don't understand it all. I just want to become stronger, Zhu Xiuqing whispered, looking down at Yichu's retreating figure. She hugged her knees, staring at the endless stone platform before her, her thoughts drifting elsewhere. Sister. Maybe I can beat you now. And Dai Mu Bei, our ridiculous engagement. Thinking of the engagement, Yichu's image flashed through her mind. For the past half-month, Yichu had taken meticulous care of her, but she could clearly feel an invisible distance between them. Perhaps, this was something she had created herself. Her mind replayed Yichu's every move as he healed and saved her. The unexpected kiss didn't seem so unpleasant to her. Burying her flushed face in her knees, what should I do? Lost in her own sorrow, she suddenly felt a warmth. Yichu had returned, standing beside her, and a blanket was now draped over her. Let's think about things tomorrow. It's best to rest now to avoid developing a chronic condition, otherwise I'll feel really guilty, thank you. But I still want to be fed. What are you doing? She clenched her fists and kept pounding Yichu's chest. Suddenly, Yichu lifted her up, his left arm around her shoulder, his right fist clenched and placed on the back of her knee. Nothing. If you want to think about things, it's the same in bed. Lie down and think it over slowly. The most important thing is to heal your injury as soon as possible. After settling her in bed, Yichu went to rest alone. Watching his retreating figure, Zhu Xiuqing felt she already had her answer. It might be difficult, but she truly wanted to live for herself. The night passed without incident. In the following days, Yichu sensed that Zhu Xiuqing beside him seemed to have changed slightly. She always asked him to go and tease those spirit beasts, to ride wolves, snakes, and spiders together. Here, try my grilled fish. Beside a stream, two giant white wolves were drinking water. Zhu Xiuqing and Yichu sat cross-legged on the bank, with a fire burning between them. Zhu Xiuqing handed the grilled fish to Yichu with a smile on her face. It tastes pretty good, it's quite delicious. Yichu didn't have high expectations for her cooking, after all, she was a young lady from a large family. Unexpectedly, after taking a small bite, he found that the taste was really good. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking, she glared at Yichu, then took another skewered fish and started grilling it. At home, I often cook for myself. Yichu naturally understood her situation in the Zhu family. There was a big age gap between her and her sister, and she couldn't compete with her at all. Who would have thought that a young lady from a noble family would have to do some chores herself? Your Zhu family is really abnormal, Yichu first complained, then pointed with her index finger to add. Oh, right, and the Douluo royal family too. Yeah, they really are twisted. Zhu Xiuqing nodded in agreement, her mood starting to sink again. After all, what family's brothers and sisters are destined to be mortal enemies from birth? Yichu's words made the atmosphere cold, and the grilled fish in his hand became somewhat tasteless. Zhu Xiuqing threw down the grilled fish in her hand, leaned in front of Yichu, and knocked the grilled fish in his hand to the ground as well. Yichu was about to explode. But her sleeve was already at Yichu's mouth, carefully wiping the stains from the corner of his mouth. What are you doing? Yichu slapped her hand away and moved his buttocks back a little. Her own face was also a little red. What's wrong? Didn't you take care of me like this when I was bedridden? You know you were bedridden, but I was perfectly fine. Yichu looked at her speechlessly. Okay, let's go. Let's go for another walk. She then took Yichu's hand and walked towards the two wolves by the stream. The two mounted the white wolf, side by side, and moved slowly along the stream. So, Yichu, what exactly is the favor you want me to do? Zhu Xiuqing turned her head to look at his profile. Well, I want you to protect someone for me. Thinking of the rabbit, Yichu still smiled. Seeing this, Zhu Xiuqing had a bad feeling. Who is she? Where is she? Her name is Xiao Wu. Her martial soul is the soft-boned charming rabbit. As for where? Well, you'll meet her when you go to Soto City. A girl, yes. Preferably someone who can protect you closely. Of course, this doesn't apply when you need to cultivate. Yichu nodded, making his request. Yichu, I really have to thank you. Zhu Xiuqing gritted her teeth. Giving her an external soul bone was to have her protect a girl with whom he had an ambiguous relationship? What about the decision she made? Had all her actions these past few days become a joke? Had she let him see and touch her body for nothing? Had she given him her first kiss for nothing? Zhu Xiuqing smiled bitterly. The step she had finally taken had come to an end. She patiently continued walking. So why did you say I would definitely go to Soto City? Because your third prince fiancé is there. Haven't you always wanted to beat your sister and brother-in-law? I think you'll still go find him eventually. Actually, this isn't changing your fate at all. You're still living within a fate predetermined by others, Yichu continued, completely oblivious to Zhu Zhuking's increasingly grim expression. Enough. Yichu, she roared. What right do you have to interfere with other people's fates? Do you think you understand me? You understand nothing at all. Her roar stunned Yichu. Did I say something wrong? She stared at Yichu, her eyes red. Already unhappy because of the girl named Xiao Wu, hearing Yichu deny her efforts and believe she would still go looking for Daimyo Bei, she finally couldn't hold back anymore. Yichu. You're a bastard. While Yichu is still bewildered, she cursed again, then squeezed her legs together, and the wolf beneath her leaped away. Hey. You haven't agreed yet. Don't stray too far from me. It'll be bad if the soul beast goes out of control. Without time to think, Yichu called out twice and quickly followed. On a wide expanse of grass, Zhu Zhuking stopped. Hey. What happened to you just now? If I said anything wrong, I apologize. Yichu approached from behind her. Zhu Zhuking ignored him, staring fixedly at the distant sky, motionless. Yichu had no choice but to stay with her. After a long while, she finally spoke. You're right, and you're wrong. Turning back to look at him, she smiled self-deprecatingly. I was indeed foolish. My efforts to become stronger and compete with my sister were what others hoped for, but it was the only way I could survive. Wasn't it? Actually, you have other options. Oh? Then tell me. Zhu Zhuking sat down, patting the seat next to her, gesturing for Yichu to sit down as well. You could join a few major powers, like the Spirit Hall. They've always been eyeing the two great empires. As a direct descendant of the Zhu family, if you're willing to join, they'd definitely be happy to accept you and use you as a benchmark to continue recruiting other noble members. After all, in the power struggles within the nobility, there are always losers. Zhu Zhuking looked at him with interest. Anything else? There's the 7 treasure glazed tile school. As long as your talent is sufficient, I think they'd still be very willing to accept you. Since the 7 treasure glazed tile school is currently facing a talent shortage, Yichu finished speaking and quietly looked at her. What about my parents? And aren't you overestimating my importance? My innate soul power is only level 7. Zhu Zhuking didn't expect Yichu to be so naive. The Douluo royal family wasn't the Heaven Dao royal family, they had their own title Douluo. Yichu also fell silent. He had indeed been a bit presumptuous. Sorry. I didn't think it through. Zhu Zhuking shook her head. It's okay. Thank you. The last 3 words were barely audible, even Yichu didn't hear them. Looking at the red glow hanging in the distance, she smiled. She gave a self-deprecating laugh. When did Zhu Zhuking become so easily given up? Turning to look at Yichu, who looked surprised, she smiled brightly at him. Regardless of his bewilderment, she mounted the white wolf beside her and ran off again. Hey. What's wrong with you now? Yichu was about to go crazy. How could this girl be so fickle? He quickly mounted his mount and chased after her. Zhu Zhuking thoroughly enjoyed the cool evening breeze on her face. She felt very relaxed. She had figured things out. She wanted to thank Yichu for appearing in her life, for giving her a new choice, a new direction to strive for, a choice that truly freed her from this fate, a choice for which she was willing to give her life. Chapter 44 The Proactive Cat. One after the other, Zhu Zhuking led Yichu to the outside of a cave. Yichu recognized this cave. It was the one where he had applied medicine to Zhu Zhuking before. Jumping off the wolf's back, she went inside first, and Yichu sent the 2 wolves away before following her. Why did you bring me here? To spend the night. Just the 2 of us, her gentle voice replied. Hurry up and get the bed out. Are there other people here? Yichu gave her a strange look, not daring to say it aloud, afraid she would cause some trouble again. He could only comply, using his divine power to release the bed. Phew, your soul skill is really convenient. You can stay so comfortable even in the wilderness. Zhu Zhuking laid down. Why spend the night outside? I think it's better to go back into the divine power space. Yichu looked at the sky outside. It was almost dark. I want to spend the night here. She sat up, stubbornly staring at him. All right. Whatever you say. Yichu spread his hands and turned to leave. Hey, where are you going? Zhu Zhuking stopped him as he was about to leave. It's getting dark. I need to gather some firewood to make a fire. He glanced at her speechlessly, thinking she was just looking for trouble. HMPH. Then hurry back. With a cold snort, she sat back down on the edge of the bed. Yichu sat cross-legged on the ground, watching the fireworks in front of him, while Zhu Xiuqing lay on her side on the bed, quietly watching his face, which was glowing red in the light. Yichu, do you remember this cave? A soft voice echoed in the somewhat desolate cave. I remember. Isn't it the one that applied medicine to you before? Don't worry, I definitely won't tell anyone about those things. I've forgotten them all. Yichu thought she was bringing up the past to warn him again. Oh? What have you forgotten? Zhu Xiuqing sat down next to him. It's just that I looked at you, cough cough. I don't remember. Yichu almost choked on his saliva, becoming more and more uncertain as he spoke. Seeing his flustered state, Zhu Xiuqing pursed her lips, chuckled softly, and lowered her head to whisper, actually, it's okay if you remember. Huh? What? Nothing. Never mind if you didn't hear me. She blushed and walked away. How strange, Yichu muttered a few times, turning his head. Hey, you still haven't agreed with me whether you'll go protect Xiao Wu or not. Is she important to you? Yes. Very important. So, are you going to help or not? I don't want to think about that right now. I'm sleepy. I'll tell you tomorrow, Zhu Xiuqing said coldly, having her own considerations. Yichu opened his mouth but didn't say anything more, quietly sitting cross-legged in front of the fire to keep watch. Inside the cave, besides the sound of the flames burning, there was only the sound of their breathing. The night was past midnight. Yichu, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground cultivating, suddenly felt someone hug him. He opened his eyes and saw Zhu Xiuqing leaning on his shoulder, the two of them wrapped in the same blanket. She had already made her decision. What are you doing? Yichu reached out to push her away. You saw me naked, touched me naked, and even stole my first kiss. Don't you need to take responsibility? Zhu Xiuqing brought her mouth close to his ear, her voice icy, as if she would kill Yichu if he dared to say he wouldn't take responsibility. The warm breath tickled his ear, while the icy voice chilled his heart. This was completely different from the feeling he had with the rabbit. He and Xiao Wu had spent so much time together. Yichu turned his head away. Hey, stop messing around. You didn't say that before. I told you to forget, and you forgot? If I wanted to kill you, would you let me? Are you even a man? Yichu turned his head back to face her, staring intently at her. I'm still a boy, Yichu answered hesitantly. You. HMPH, you really are shameless, he snorted coldly. How am I shameless? I was applying medicine for you, you still dare to say that? Zhu Xiuqing grabbed his neck directly. Dare you say you didn't look around or touch anything while you were applying the medicine? Yichu grabbed her arm and tried to pull away, but was choked and couldn't breathe. I said, don't go too far. How can I apply medicine without looking or touching it? Hey. If you keep being unreasonable, I'm going to hit you. Hit you? You're going to hit me. Martial spirit possessed her, and a black claw grew from her other hand, which she placed on Yichu's neck. That's too much? Playing is playing, but this thing of yours is poisonous. Yichu was about to get up and escape when he found himself unable to move. Hiss, why are you riding on my legs? Get off now. What, are you trying to seduce me with your lewd eyes again? Zhu Xiuqing saw red light flash under her hair and moved her claw even closer. When the accident happened last time, she felt she couldn't control herself. Later, when she learned that Yichu could control soul beasts, she had her suspicions. Hearing her words, Yichu froze, even his Sharingan dimmed. She's slandering me. She's defaming me. Why aren't you saying anything? Do you admit that you did it? Zhu Xiuqing pressed her face close, her breath hot against Yichu's face. Good heavens! When had this innocent virgin ever suffered like this? That time was really an accident. My martial soul is a bit special. Yichu was speechless. Special? Who knows? So that's your excuse for taking liberties with me? She pressed her body even closer. Wrapped in the blanket and so intimately pressed together, Yichu started sweating, his six-pointed star almost blurring as he tried to run away. Unexpectedly, Zhu Xiuqing touched his lips. Even if last time was an accident, this time isn't. The black, venomous claws were retracted, and Yichu was pulled to the ground by the neck, forced to be kissed. Yichu, who had been feeling hot and even parched, was instantly chilled to the bone by the icy pudding. The red light in his eyes faded once more. His pupils dilated, and a pair of shy black eyes and a flushed face appeared in his vision. Just like the accident last time, Yichu felt like he was about to crash after only a few seconds of lapse in concentration. His face turned red, veins bulged, and his neck was being choked tighter and tighter, whether out of tension or revenge, he didn't know. He suddenly pushed her away, and thud, both of them fell to the ground, wrapped in blankets, covered in sweat. Yichu patted his chest, breathing heavily, his nostrils still seeming to carry her scent. "Are you trying to strangle me?" Zhu Huqing was pushed to the ground by him, her face flushed, and she was having trouble breathing. It took her a while to recover. As if she hadn't heard Yichu's words, she picked up the blanket from the ground and walked towards the bed. Halfway there, she turned back, her face indifferent, and looked at Yichu. "I'm asking you, was this an accident?" "What do you mean?" Yichu got up, somewhat confused. "Answer me. Was this an accident?" Zhu Huqing's voice began to turn cold and hard, her eyes glaring at Yichu. "No." Yichu was a little confused by her question and answered tentatively. Zhu Huqing nodded, then turned her back to him and continued walking forward, her calm voice ringing out, "Yes, it wasn't an accident. I took the initiative." After saying this, her face instantly turned bright red, her ears burning, and she hurriedly went back to the bed and lay down, trying her best to control her breathing. She planned to give Yichu the remaining time to think about her feelings for him. If he was quick to understand, perhaps she could save herself some trouble. Unfortunately, without a deeper understanding, Yichu didn't grasp the intricacies of her words. He stood there, unsure of her meaning. After the rabbit, now the cat was making the first move? One of the three great illusions of life suddenly popped into his head. "She likes me." Slap. Slap. Yichu slapped himself twice, trying to bring himself back to reality. It wasn't convenient to confront her now, so he could only sit back down, but he couldn't stop his wild thoughts. He even started to consider whether to choose the cat or the rabbit. Or maybe both. Damn it. Bang. Just as Yichu was lost in his daydreams, a tongue of fire suddenly shot out from the campfire, startling him and interrupting his reverie. Have a wonderful day. Chapter 45, A Confession That Shocks the World. That night, Yichu felt no sleepiness whatsoever. His mind was a bit muddled, so he released the blue silver emperor cat and petted it. His eyes glanced behind him. Zhu Huqing was lying on her side. Could it be possible to pet a cat someday? He shook his head, trying to banish these awful thoughts. His priority now was to become stronger. Rabbits and cats had to wait until he was older. "This is disturbing my Dao heart," Yichu sighed, and in a daze, he seemed to hear a faint voice. Brother, the voice was ethereal, clear, yet extremely unreal. "Who's speaking?" Yichu turned to look at Zhu Huqing, but she was motionless, and the voice didn't sound like her. Could it be a hallucination? Yichu frowned, completely bewildered. Slap slap. He slapped himself twice more, realizing he must have been completely bewitched to hear a girl's voice. "Who?" He exhaled a breath of stale air, sat cross-legged again, and thought, "What can relieve my worries? Only meditation." Silly brother. The blue silver emperor beside him emitted a faint glow, its form writhing as if it were a human, its delicate body trembling with laughter. Zhu Huqing wasn't asleep either. She had naturally heard Yichu's movements, except for his own auditory hallucinations. HMPH. I thought he was so serious, but it was all a lie. By the way, he seemed to blush when he kissed me. Recalling her bold actions earlier, Zhu Huqing felt embarrassed, but seeing Yichu's reaction, she felt it was all worth it. She turned over, looking at Yichu's cross-legged back, thinking he understood her meaning. A smile played on her lips as she peacefully fell asleep. Outside, the sun was rising. Yichu was still meditating. Zhu Huqing had gotten up and was sitting beside him, watering the blue silver emperor and then staring at him. She was about to leave. Before leaving, she had to remember Yichu well. More importantly, she had to make him remember her too. She couldn't let him forget what he had done for her, as he had said before. Under her gaze, Yichu's brows seemed to twitch, and then his face flushed slightly. Seeing that Yichu was even less composed than her, Zhu Huqing temporarily put away her embarrassment and removed the thing that had originally belonged to her from Yichu's eyes. Oh, she noticed that Yichu had actually ended his meditation, and a mischievous smile appeared on her lips. "Yichu, why aren't you opening your eyes yet? Am I that scary? Aren't you uncomfortable holding your breath?" She blew a gentle breeze into Yichu's eyes, and he blinked several times, forced to open them. "Why are you so close to me?" Looking at the pretty face so close to his, Yichu turned his face away before daring to breathe. Haha, you weren't like this when you applied the medicine to me. I've already forgotten about that, you dare. Upon hearing this, Zhu's Huking immediately grabbed his collar and slammed him to the ground. Now, I won't allow you to forget. Really? Yichu looked at her, wondering if she was testing him again. Seeing Yichu standing there without reacting, her sharp claws reached out. Did you hear me clearly? I heard you clearly. I heard you clearly. The words might be false, but the claws on his neck couldn't be fake, right? In the end, Yichu chose to follow his heart. After all, he really couldn't forget. So, after thinking about it all night, have you figured out my feelings, huh? Yichu chuckled awkwardly. Was this something he could say? Wouldn't it be embarrassing if it was just a misperception? Huh? You still say huh? It seems you're not quite sure yet. Zhu's Huking pursed her lips, her eyes showing a hint of shyness, and she was also a little angry, secretly annoyed that this guy was so stubborn. Fortunately, the shadow spider spears emerged from her back, directly surrounding Yichu. What are you trying to do? Yichu raised an eyebrow, almost activating his martial soul. This was too dangerous. To make you understand even more, with that, she bit Yichu's lips. Their eyes met. This time, Yichu didn't hesitate. 3 Tomo patterns immediately appeared in his eyes. Just as he was about to use his soul skill, a spider spear was already pressed against his eyelid. Forced to dissipate the red in his eyes, he let the rogue cat do as it pleased. This time it lasted longer than last night, making Yichu's face flush red, almost bringing tears of humiliation to his eyes. Hiss! A sharp pain shot through his mouth. After a long while, their lips parted. Now do you understand? Before she could catch her breath, her eyes were filled with lust, her face flushed, and she eagerly asked Yichu. Yichu was still adjusting his breathing. Seeing her increasingly unpleasant expression out of the corner of his eye, he quickly nodded. Tell me, huh? Do I have to say it? What do you think? Sitting on him, she pressed her hand against his chest, the shadow spider spear hovering high. It was clear he wouldn't stop until he said it. Gulp, Yichu swallowed hard, turning his head away, his face full of embarrassment, and whispered, You like me. This feeling was so shameful that Yichu couldn't help but close his eyes. This felt completely different from saying I like you. Hearing Yichu's answer, Zhu's Huking's face and neck flushed red, her eyes full of satisfaction, her voice brimming with joy. Say it again. You like me? Yichu's face turned bright red, even his toes felt uncomfortable. Did you hear my confession yourself? She looked at Yichu beneath her teasingly. I heard it. Yichu wanted to cry but had no tears. This was your confession? Why did I have to say it? He should have been more confident from the beginning. Now he regretted it. Although I already know, I already have a rabbit. No, I already have Xiao Wu. Although somewhat embarrassed, Yichu had to make things clear. Did I ask for your permission? Zhu's Huking's eyes dimmed slightly, but she remained assertive. She had promised to make a lasting impression. Huh? Yichu was bewildered. I'm just informing you, letting you know. Humph. Zhu's Huking finally put away her shadow spider spear, stood up, and pulled Yichu up as well. Her face flushed, she straightened his clothes as he remained confused. Let your horse out. Yichu looked at her strangely, then, still bewildered, did as she said. Zhu's Huking mounted her iron hoof horse and said to Yichu, I've done that favor. If I really go to Soto City, I'll protect that girl named Xiao Wu. Thank you, goodbye. Giddy up. Yichu's thanks were interrupted by her voice and the horse's neighing. He rode off like an arrow towards the cave entrance. Damn it. My girl, Yichu shouted, snapping out of his daze, and reached out to grab the cave entrance. Zhu's Huking's voice came from outside. Yichu. You just wait. Her voice was loud and cheerful. She had a new goal. She was going to desperately become stronger. Strong enough not to be bound by marriage or family. She was going to break free from fate and embrace Yichu. And the girl named Xiao Wu, she wanted to see what she looked like. Yichu ran out of the cave, but he and his horse were already gone. They're gone already. Just a moment ago they were so passionate, and now they're just smacking their lips and walking away? How do you explain this? Who dumped whom? This huge contrast made Yichu feel a little anxious and depressed. Damn it. I've been taken advantage of again, and I've lost a girl too. Extra chapter for Labor Day. Chapter 46 The Talking Grass. Phew. That bit really hard. My tongue is still bleeding, spitting out a mouthful of bloody saliva. Yichu glanced twice in the direction Zhu King had left before returning to the cave. Looking at the empty space, Yichu felt a little uncomfortable. Humans really are suited to living in groups. The absence of someone you're with day and night leaves a void. He went to Zhu King's bed, intending to store it in his divine might space. But when Yichu saw what she had left on the bed, he couldn't help but cover his face, his lips twitching. Did she leave this for me on purpose? Lying on the bed were several pairs of black stockings. Yichu wondered if she had some misunderstanding about him. He really just wanted to cover his eyes. With a helpless sigh, he activated his divine might space, instantly storing everything away, out of sight, out of mind. He sat down cross-legged in front of the blue-silver emperor, gently stroking its leaves, a hint of worry in his heart. I wonder if sending her to protect Xiao Wu was the right thing to do. Will the two of them fight? He pondered his relationship with Zhu King. Did he not like her? That would be a lie. Who doesn't like pretty girls? Besides, he'd seen her, touched her. As for love? The kiss did feel quite good, And when he applied medicine to her. The problem was he was pregnant. Damn. What am I thinking about? Yichu grabbed his hair. He collapsed to the ground, closing his eyes. He needed some peace and quiet. The blue-silver emperor's leaves brushed against Yichu's face, gently caressing him, as if comforting him. A shimmering green light emanated from its trunk, a life force slowly seeping into Yichu's forehead. Yichu's chaotic heart gradually calmed down. I didn't expect a blue-silver emperor to have a calming effect. It seems having a plant around isn't so bad. After a long while, Yichu got up, looked at the blue-silver emperor, and sprinkled some water on it. Since he brought the blue-silver emperor out, it had grown remarkably well. Originally knee-high, it now reached Yichu's waist. As if understanding his praise, the blue-silver emperor's leaves swayed wildly, seemingly very happy. Yichu stroked it a couple more times. It felt quite nice. Suddenly, a childish voice appeared in his mind. Who's talking? Yichu turned sharply to look at the cave entrance. Only his echo echoed inside. The entrance was empty. What's going on lately? Why do I keep hearing girls' laughter? Yichu frowned. Things shouldn't happen more than 3 times, especially since he'd heard it more than 3 times already. Brother. Here, I heard it again. Yichu opened his Sharingan. Where are you? Purple light flickered in his eyes, and all kinds of soul beasts within 100 meters were within Yichu's search range. Yichu froze. A chill suddenly ran down his neck, and Yichu broke out in a cold sweat. To be able to approach him silently, it must be a master. Yichu dared not move. Brother, over here. Just then, that clear voice rang in his mind again. His eyes slowly looked down, and he saw that the blue-silver emperor in the flower pot had grown considerably, its tip already curling up to his neck. The coldness on Yichu's neck came from the blue-silver emperor. Blue-silver emperor, he stared in shock at the beautiful plant. He had actually been frightened by a plant? Brother, clever, smart. Hearing its voice, several black lines appeared on Yichu's forehead. He felt it was mocking him. Not only had he been too scared to move just now, but last night, because of its voice, he had received 2 beatings. Looking back, Yichu recalled that after he hit himself twice, he did indeed hear some mocking laughter. His gaze towards the blue-silver emperor began to turn dangerous. Brother, Papa. Hearing its unclear response, Yichu didn't pursue the matter further. Who would have thought that what he thought was an auditory hallucination was actually coming from this plant? The blue-silver emperor can still talk in its current state. Yichu sat down again, suddenly remembering that this was a seed left behind by Tang Hao's wife, Yin, and asked it, "Are you Yin, Sister Yin?" Sister is gone. Listening to its intermittent voice, Yichu felt that it seemed a little dim-witted. He then looked at it strangely. It actually called Yin sister? Yin is gone? Does that mean she's dead? Yichu stroked his chin, carefully considering the information provided by the plant. The blue-silver emperor beside him actually nodded human-like. Do you know Tang Hao? Yichu became interested and continued to communicate with it. The blue-silver emperor, which had been swaying, stopped, its tip tilting back slightly as if deep in thought. It then swayed left and right a couple of times, indicating it didn't know or hadn't heard of it. So Yichu changed his approach. It's that bastard who planted you in that pitch-black hole. The change in wording had an immediate effect. As soon as Yichu finished speaking, the blue-silver emperor began shaking violently, as if accusing Tang Hao of abusing the plant. Yichu wanted to ask more questions, but after shaking it so much, it wilted, becoming listless and unable to stand upright. Yichu's forehead creased with annoyance. Was this plant's wool really that fragile? He shook his head helplessly and added some water again. After this little commotion, Yichu's melancholy had lessened considerably. It's time to leave. Picking up the pot containing the blue silver emperor, a vortex appeared, and Yichu vanished from the spot with it in his arms. He had lingered on the outskirts of the starred-out Great Forest for over a month, and it was time to continue his journey towards the heavenly Dao Imperial City. In the dense jungle, Yichu sat cross-legged atop a tiger, the tiger beneath him carrying him swiftly towards the edge of the starred-out Great Forest. He wore a new black ribbon over his eyes. Although he didn't really want to tear off what Zhu King had left behind, he still had to wear something. It was quite stress-relieving, to say the least. In his arms, he held a pot of blue-silver grass with golden patterns on its leaves. Now that Yichu knew the blue-silver emperor had developed consciousness, it didn't seem right to leave it idle in the divine might space. Since he had nothing else to do while traveling, he took it out to bask in the sun. Yichu had a guess about how the blue-silver emperor addressed him. He guessed that the reason it called him brother was mainly because of the blue-silver emperor's right leg bone, which gave it a sense of familiarity, like that of a yin. Perhaps the Sharingan was a reason, but it couldn't be confirmed, since he hadn't actually tried using that improper ability to seduce certain female soul beasts, except those in human form, of course. Since Zhu King had taken away the iron hoof horse, the soul beast that had accompanied Yichu for 10 years, he had no choice but to recruit another one using his Sharingan. This was a soul beast that had just reached its 1,000-year mark, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger. It was only about 3 meters long, but it was beautiful, with soft, glossy fur when encountering steep slopes or cliffs. It could even experience the thrill of gliding. It should be able to reach the outskirts of the town in a few days. Snap, he grabbed the tiger's tail and used it as a whip to lash its rear. Was this considered self-production and self-consumption, or self-inflicted suffering? Roar! The magnificent jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger roared and immediately charged forward. Chapter 47 The Call. Another day passed. This morning, when Yichu emerged from the divine might space, he found that the blue-silver emperor seemed to have recovered. It chattered incessantly, calling out brother, brother, all the way. But when Yichu asked it questions, it knew nothing, acting just like a little child. Fortunately, with it by his side, the journey wasn't too boring. The setting sun gradually disappeared, the handsome tiger roamed freely, the trees rushed past, the howling wind whistled in his ears, Yichu held a bundle of grass in his arms, and the silly grass swayed in the pot. To keep up with his schedule, Yichu made the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger run until dark every day, only entering the divine might space to rest for the night after sunset. Ahead was a precipice, other mounts would have to detour, but for the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger beneath Yichu, jumping off was just basic maneuvering. With its cloud wings unfurled ahead of time, the azure silver tiger leaped high from the edge of the cliff and then swooped down. The fierce wind whipped against Yichu's face, stinging him. The pressure from the wind pressed the azure silver tiger tightly against Yichu, preventing it from swaying. Brother thump. The azure silver tiger had just landed when the azure silver tiger's childish voice echoed in Yichu's mind again. Yichu understood that it was communicating using mental power. What is it now, little guy? He no longer spoke to the azure silver tiger, but conveyed his thoughts in his mind. After all, talking to a blade of grass was too strange. People would think he had something wrong with himself. Stop for a moment. The voice was crisp and sweet, quite pleasant to hear. At this moment, the azure silver tiger was radiating a blue light, interspersed with golden particles, like countless stars falling into a blue ocean. All its leaves pointed in the same direction. Yichu frowned, patted the tiger's back, and stopped where it said, "Brother, over there." "I feel." Yichu covered his face, helpless against the child's stutter. By the time it finished speaking, the sun was already setting. Somewhat impatient, "Stop talking, just tell me what you want to say." "Oh, I got it." The blue-silver emperor seemed to sense Yichu's mood, its voice somewhat low. Yichu closed his eyes, processing the message it had sent. Looking at the blue-silver emperor in his arms in surprise, it actually said it felt something calling to them, making it feel very close. But he clearly didn't feel anything. After a moment of thought, looking at the setting sun in the west, Yichu decided to go and investigate. The only place that could make it feel close is probably that place. A glint flashed in his eyes. He patted the tiger, and the tiger's head immediately turned and ran in the direction the blue-silver emperor had indicated. Perhaps he could even ruin Tang San's opportunity. This time, Yichu didn't use his Sharingan to scout the way, because it was unnecessary. There weren't many thousand-year-old soul beasts in this area now, so to save time, he followed a blue-silver emperor's directions and tried to travel in a straight line. On Yichu's path, a notorious mercenary group was on its way. In the middle of the group of a dozen or so people was a carriage with an iron cage containing 3 winged wolves that were about 700 years old. Everyone, hurry up. If we haven't found a place to stay by nightfall, we'll be feeding the soul beasts. Wang Hu sat cross-legged on the iron cage, teasing the caged beast with a bloody, mangled severed arm while shouting orders at the others. Understood. Big brother, the others responded in unison. Work hard, finish this job, and then we'll take the brothers to a brothel. Haha, brother tiger. Look! There's someone riding a soul beast. In the group, a lean man with a hooked nose noticed Yichu, who was about to cross in front of them. Riding a soul beast? Ha ha ha, I say, Yin Yan, are you seeing things? His companion mocked him. I've never seen anyone tame a soul beast as a mount. See things? Hell, you can see my black eagle martial soul's vision. Yin Yan sneered, ignoring them, and shouted to Wang Hu on the iron cage. Brother tiger, I'm absolutely not mistaken, and what that kid is riding is a jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger that's just over 1,000 years old. Slap! Wang Hu slapped his thigh, stood up, and looked into the distance, but could only see a blurry shadow. Yin Yan naturally knew what his elder brother was worried about. Don't worry, brother. That kid is at most 10 years old. How could he possibly be a match for you? Hearing this, Wang Hu's eyes lit up. He threw the severed arm in his hand to the giant wolf in the cage. Brothers, we have a job. Charge in Yin Yan's direction. Yin Yan, you lead the charge. Understood, brother. A cry rang out, and a pair of wings extended from Yin Yan's back as he flew towards Yichu. Yichu, who was on his way, suddenly noticed a black dot in the sky to his right. Soon, it appeared above Yichu. Kid, stop. Third soul skill, arrow feather, 3 soul rings, white, yellow, and purple, enveloped his body, with a purple ring lighting up. Dozens of arrow-like feathers suddenly flung out from the wings, shooting towards Yichu. Thud thud thud. Yichu managed to stop Tiger in time, and the feathers disappeared into the ground. Looking coldly, Yin Yang hovered in the air, dust billowing in the distance. Soon, the Black Tiger mercenary group surrounded Yichu. What do you want? This was Yichu's first time encountering a robber. Under his Sharingan scrutiny, the highest soul power among this group was only Soul Master, nothing to fear. A dark-skinned, muscular man cracked his knuckles, and with each step he took, a soul ring rose beneath his feet. After 4 steps, his muscles bulged, and tiger stripes appeared on his face. Boy! Hand over your manhood. I'll spare your life, Yin Yan added from the sky, and your secret of controlling soul beasts. Right, I almost forgot. Tell me how you control your soul beasts too. Wang Hu squinted, his eyes filled with greed. Several black lines appeared on Yichu's forehead. Anyone who didn't know better would think he was the one with a tiger spirit. What the hell, manhood? While Yichu was stunned, the blue-silver emperor's voice urged, Brother hurry, that feeling is about to disappear. Yes. Right away, he replied inwardly. Kid, have you thought this through? Our big brother is a soul master, he might lose patience PFFT. Hearing Yin Yan's words, Yichu sneered, just a useless soul master with a purple ring. His main Jekaiao Sharingan was already activated, and he spoke with a hint of nonchalance. Hurry up, I'm in a hurry, kid. You're asking for death? Watch me capture you and feed you to the wolves. Feed you to the wolves. Yichu's face turned cold when he saw the bloodstains on the wolf's mouth in the iron cage. You've already chosen your own death. The people around watched Wang Hu rush towards Yichu, their faces showing cruel smiles. However, Wang Hu, who had just run out, felt something was wrong. Looking at the blood-red space around him, he remembered that he was still in the starred-out Great Forest. He was bound to the cross, his face filled with terror. The boy who should have been riding a soul beast was standing in front of him, his cold voice devoid of any emotion. I'll stab you for a day and a night. Wang Hu's screams were endless. Sizzle. One after another, sharp swords pierced through his body. Outside, the smiles on the faces of the others froze. Wang Hu, who was about to run out, suddenly knelt down. What happened? Chapter 48. Welcome back, my emperor. Wang Hu looked as if he had just been pulled from the water. His martial spirit had dissipated, his hands trembling as he braced himself on the ground, his eyes filled with panic. His body was no longer under his control. TCH, just a paper tiger, thump. While they were still stunned, Yichu had already driven his tiger over and snatched him in his mouth. Big brother, Yin Yang exclaimed, and with a single leap, the naturally suspicious man immediately made a decision. This kid is strange. Everyone, attack together. Yin Yang intercepted from the air, while the others swarmed towards Yichu. I told you I was in a hurry, Yichu said in a low voice. The jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger beneath him flapped its wings, stirring up a cloud of dust and forcing the others back slightly. Amaterasu, he looked up, his right eye oozing crimson blood. Just as Yin Yan's spirit ring was about to light up in the air, black flames erupted from his body. Save me! He plummeted to the ground in just a few breaths. At this moment, the others surrounded him again. Those who were faster immediately unleashed their soul skills, several soul skills attacking Yichu. First soul skill, Entanglement. Second soul skill, Ghost Claw. Third soul skill, Iron Mountain Lean. Second soul skill, 5-Strike Whip. Brother hurry, Blue Silver Emperor's repeated urging made him want to unleash a big attack. Sigh, there's no other way. Yichu closed his eyes and then suddenly opened them again. Susanoo, a huge, blood-red arm, devoid of any flesh, stretched out. What is that? Run, someone reacted. Unfortunately, it was too late. Bang bang bang. The blood-red arm only swung in a circle, and the surrounding soul skills were immediately annihilated, exploding into blood mist. Some people's chests exploded, and some people's brains splattered. The power of Susanoo was terrifying. From the time they attacked to their deaths, it was only a few breaths. Looking into the distance, the guy with the eagle soul had also just burned to ashes. Glancing at the surrounding carcasses and several groaning figures, the few who hadn't yet rushed forward trembled and knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. Yichu ignored them, looking at the iron cage containing the soul beasts. Divine might, several iron bars twisted and snapped in the terrified gazes of the survivors, creating a gap in the cage. So you were the one who said you'd feed me to the wolves, right? Enduring the pain in his body, Yichu sneered. No. Let me go. Wang Hu's mind was scattered, drooling, his will to live driving him to beg for mercy. However, Yichu didn't listen to him at all. I told you I was in a hurry, didn't I? Whoosh. At Yichu's signal, the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger flicked its head, and Wang Hu, whom it was carrying in its mouth, fell into the cage. No. When Yichu used Tsukuyomi, he deliberately held back, damaging Wang Hu's mind but keeping him conscious. Hearing the howls of hungry wolves and the screams of Wang Hu, Yichu urged Tiger to leave quickly, leaving behind a trail of blood. Brother, awesome, hurry up and continue guiding the way. Yichu grinned, a slight stinging pain appearing in his body. He activated the Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone, a cool sensation spreading throughout his body. The after effects of briefly using Susanoo had disappeared. As Yichu activated his right leg bone, he could even vaguely sense the call from the Blue Silver Emperor's mouth. This further confirmed Yichu's certainty that the place was definitely the Blue Silver Forest. The jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger ran swiftly in the setting sun, a reminder of its lost freedom. The sun had already sunk below the horizon, the sky ablaze with crimson clouds. Brother, almost there. Yes, I can feel it too. Passing through a dense forest and over a hillside, looking down, countless blue-silver grasses covered the ground, some hundreds, some thousands of years old. It really is the Blue-Silver Forest. They seemed to be burrowing into the ground as the sun set. No wonder the Blue-Silver Emperor kept urging him to hurry. Roar! The jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger let out a low roar, gliding down with Yichu. As soon as they landed, a faint voice echoed across the flat land. My Emperor! We're here. The blue-silver grass that had shrunk into the ground reappeared. From the center of the plain, a vibrant blue light radiated outwards. The Blue-Silver Emperor in Yichu's arms also shone brightly, its brilliance resonating with that of its subjects. Brother, I dream, I'm past my prime. Yichu was already used to its accent. Slowly walking towards the center, the surrounding environment was tranquil and beautiful. The further they went, the thicker the blue-silver grass became. Pop! A blue-silver grass with a blue tinge of pale gold burst forth from the soil. Its size was comparable to that of a tree. "Welcome back, my emperor." A buzzing sound filled the air as invisible ripples spread outwards, making you feel as if you were in a blue ocean. The blue-silver grasses swayed gently, like waves on the sea, bowing in reverence to their long-lost emperor. Yichu watched this breathtaking scene, both beautiful and awe-inspiring. Each blue-silver grass released specks of starlight, flowing into the blue-silver emperor's body in Yichu's arms. The flower pot left Yichu's hands, enveloped in a blue-green light, and floated in the air. Poof! Yichu faintly heard the sound of the flower pot shattering. The blue-silver emperor, which had only cultivated for a dozen years, instantly grew larger, its golden color becoming even more solid. The blue-silver emperor chirped joyfully. While the blue-silver emperor was still absorbing the gifts from its subjects, the blue-silver emperor looked at Yichu. "Human. I am the blue-silver king, thank you." The words of thanks suddenly stopped, and Yichu was startled. He sensed killing intent. Without warning, a massive branch swept towards him, piercing through Yichu's body. "Blue-silver king. Did you ask before you attacked?" Yichu said, shoving Huzi aside. "Ask? How, you despicable human? My emperor's essence cannot be lost." "Essence?" Yichu asked, surprised. Whoosh! Although the blue-silver grass clan wasn't skilled in combat, the blue-silver king's tens of thousands of years of cultivation hadn't been for nothing. The branch, like a giant python, continued to sweep towards Yichu. He merely used his divine might to dodge. "Blue-silver king, don't force me." Yichu's eyes swept over the still-growing blue-silver emperor, hoping she would awaken soon. Seeing that the surrounding blue-silver grass was also stirring, crisscrossing and spreading throughout the space, if this continued, his divine might wouldn't be able to hold up. Whoosh! Yichu leaped, dodging the blue-silver king's attack once more. His right eye activated its second soul skill, a drop of blood falling. Amaterasu! Whoosh! The branches swept by the blue-silver king instantly ignited with black flames, which then spread towards the blue-silver king's body. "Ah! Damn human!" The blue-silver king howled in agony. "My people! Kill him! Reclaim my imperial essence!" As his voice fell, the burning branches of the blue-silver king actually fell off. Yichu's Amaterasu had only caused it to lose a few insignificant branches. Blue-silver grass may not have much else, but it's tough, incredibly resilient. This injury will probably heal quickly. Under the blue-silver king's command, numerous blue-silver grasses wove into a massive cage, continuously enveloping Yichu. Yichu flashed to the side of the jade-eyed cloud-winged tiger and explained again. "Blue-silver king, I obtained this right leg bone by accident, and I didn't harm your emperor, no matter where you got it from. For my emperor's sake, you must hand over the soul bone. Otherwise, my clan will definitely leave you here." Blue-silver king disregarded everything, determined to take back the soul bone. Leave the soul bone behind? Isn't that just leaving the leg behind? Yichu wouldn't allow it. Divine power activated in his eyes, and of the 36 stratagems, running away was the best. "Stop. You are not allowed to hurt Brother Yichu." Suddenly, a childish voice rang out, interrupting their actions. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49: Eating the Brother. The blue-green light floating in the air had dissipated. A 2-meter-tall blue-gold-silver grass stood there, its body swaying slightly, radiating a gentle aura, full of vitality. "You are not allowed to harm him." The blue-silver emperor's voice was childish yet noble, carrying an undeniable authority. The woven giant net dissipated, and Yichu stopped moving. "But my emperor, the essence you lost is still in this human." The blue-silver emperor's body bent slightly, as if bowing, expressing its respect for its clan's ruler. I don't want it anymore." The first I was weak and powerless, but the latter became firm. Yichu felt that it was putting on a show of authority. How can this be? Hearing its childish and nonsensical words, the blue-silver emperor could not agree. "If there is no essence, how can my emperor return to his peak? We can spare him, we only need to take back the soul bone that belongs to my emperor." Fearing that the blue-silver emperor would not agree, it only asked for the bone. "Really?" The blue-silver emperor's voice became cheerful. Yichu, standing to the side, couldn't stand it anymore. "What do you mean don't hurt me? Just take the soul bone." Would taking a bone mean cutting off my legs? If that happened, wouldn't Yichu be crippled? What? Cut off my legs? How can that be? Hearing that Yichu's legs would be cut off, the Blue-Silver Emperor became unhappy again. HMPH. Human, with the methods of my race, we naturally won't let you be crippled. First, it snorted coldly at Yichu, then smiled and respectfully advised, my Emperor, don't worry, he'll definitely be safe. No, no. Absolutely not. Cutting off his legs would hurt so much you're not allowed to hurt him. The 2-meter-tall Blue-Silver Emperor swayed, flashing. But, the Blue-Silver Emperor wanted to say something more, but was interrupted. No buts, I love my brother the most. If you dare touch him, I won't talk to you anymore. The Blue-Silver Emperor fell silent. It was too difficult. The reason why these 2 generations of Blue-Silver Emperors were so difficult to manage was all because of those hateful humans. Yichu felt an unfriendly spiritual force sweep over him. The blurry face on the main stem of the Blue-Silver King wrinkled up. It felt it needed to change its approach. My Emperor. I think we should talk alone. Without warning, a vast expanse of blue-silver grass transformed into a high wall, surrounding the Blue-Silver Emperor and Blue-Silver King. Although curious about what they might be saying, Yichu's Sharingan could only see the swaying figures of 2 golden blue-silver grasses. He was powerless to understand their conversation. Damn it! No sportsmanship. Yichu, who was observing, shouted. Suddenly, a huge leaf appeared beneath his feet, enveloping his body. Looking at the faint golden, blurry patterns, Yichu knew this was the work of the Blue-Silver King. Damn it! Yichu's face turned grim. He couldn't even mobilize his soul power anymore. The soul power within his body was being assimilated and then absorbed. Boom! After draining Yichu's soul power, it discarded him to the ground. Lying on the ground, Yichu's remaining soul power couldn't even sustain a 3-tomo level. A small chair woven from blue-silver grass appeared before him. Yichu's face was grim. This feeling of losing power was truly unpleasant. He gave a wry smile, and without any ceremony, sat down, awaiting the outcome of their conversation. He could only hope that the little Blue-Silver Emperor would be more reliable. Inside the high walls, the Blue-Silver King was patiently persuading the Emperor, my Emperor. Do you want to stay with him forever? Of course I do. Yichu was the first person it had seen since gaining full consciousness. He was the one who had rescued it from the dark, sunless cave. And brother's eyes are very beautiful. The Blue-Silver Emperor, like a graceful young girl, swayed its body shyly. Then what should I do, my Emperor? Every Blue-Silver Emperor, before their death, will spontaneously conceive the seed of the next Emperor. Your inherited memories will tell you the answer. The Blue-Silver Emperor began to browse its memories. Ah, it exclaimed in surprise. You mean to eat, brother? How can that be? It was somewhat angry. To help you recover quickly, we must reclaim our origin. Our race needs your leadership and protection, the Blue-Silver King continued. Moreover, after you devour him, you can retain his consciousness, and you will be together forever. Seeing the Blue-Silver Emperor hesitate, the Blue-Silver King bent over and cried out sorrowfully, my Emperor. Protecting the race is your birth mission. Please don't be willful anymore. They have been without an emperor for too long. The tragedy of the previous Blue-Silver Emperor must never be repeated. Please, my Emperor, prioritize the race. Countless blue-silver grasses' spiritual energy linked into its mind, resounding like a great bell. With immense power, whoosh, the barrier formed by the blue-silver grasses disintegrated, revealing the king and emperor grasses that had already agreed to the plan. Yichu, who was venting his anger by plucking blue-silver grasses, also stood up. Brother, come over here. The Blue-Silver Emperor's voice rang in Yichu's ears. They won't dare touch you. Yichu obeyed and walked over, instinctively reaching out to pluck it, but a majestic gaze froze his hand. I'm used to it. He smiled awkwardly at the Blue-Silver King. The Blue-Silver Emperor, however, leaned against Yichu's hand and pressed his face against his. Brother, if I keep following you, will you hate me? Huh? Aren't you staying here? Yichu glanced at the 6th brother beside him. What were they talking about? Does brother mean he hates me and doesn't want to be with me? The little Blue-Silver Emperor was heartbroken. How could that be? I'm just afraid they'll cause me trouble. Yichu is still quite concerned about his soul power being drained. Having you chat with me along the way has made things much easier. Really? Yes, really, Yichu nodded. In his opinion, what bad intentions could a child have? My Emperor. It's time to begin. We will assist you. At this moment, the Blue-Silver King urged from the side. Huh? Begin what? Before Yichu could even finish his question, he felt a wetness on his chest. Looking down in disbelief, he saw a sea of blood. The blue-silver emperor's thin branches had transformed into sharp blades, piercing through his heart. "Brother, don't worry, I'll always be with you." The gentle voice of the blue-silver emperor still lingered in his ears, but when it came to underhanded tactics, it was even more cunning than the blue-silver king. "Human. It's your honor to merge with my emperor," the blue-silver king shouted excitedly from the side. Their emperor was returning. Yichu was unable to move, his entire body stiff. Sensing his condition, the disbelief and anger in his eyes gradually turned into confusion. He didn't smell death at all. Instead, he felt a warm sensation all over his body. Both he and the blue-silver emperor's bodies emitted a blue-gold light. It was slowly piercing into Yichu's heart. That clear, childlike voice rang in his ears again. "Brother, please accept my gift." The blue-silver king also realized something was wrong, his voice filled with terror. "My emperor. Wrong, wrong. You've rebelled. You should be the one devouring him." Seeing the blue-silver emperor's body slowly surging into Yichu's heart and slowly disappearing, the blue-silver king panicked. "Quickly! My people, lend me your strength. Save my emperor." This cry even echoed beyond the blue-silver forest, reaching every single blue-silver grass. In dark corners, on steep cliffs, by desolate roadsides, all the blue-silver grasses emitted a shimmering glow, twinkling in the night. Wishing you all a pleasant life. Chapter 50 Grown Up. Golden patterns now covered Yichu's body, and the figure of the blue-silver emperor was gradually disappearing. Tiny specks of light, like fireflies, flocked to the blue-silver forest, gathering above the blue-silver emperor's body. Blue-silver domain. All rivers run into the ocean, the blue-silver king roared, forcibly using power beyond its capabilities. The power of numerous blue-silver grasses, enhanced by the all rivers run into the ocean, transformed into spiritual power, maintaining the blue-silver emperor's consciousness. Yichu had no idea what they were doing. He only felt as if he were soaking in a hot spring, feeling completely refreshed, and gradually drifted into deep sleep. Damn it! I must protect my emperor. The blue-silver king used all its strength to maintain the blue-silver emperor's life. Buzz! 2 purple spirit rings appeared on Yichu's body. How is this possible? This human, the blue-silver king's initial plan to kill Yichu to save the already crippled blue-silver emperor wavered. I'll risk it, since His Majesty the Emperor wanted to follow him, then so be it. Perhaps, maybe there was hope for becoming a god. A surge of blue light began to flood Yichu's body, filling him completely and replenishing his lost soul power. A blue-silver emperor's mark slowly appeared on his chest. All the soul power in his body flowed towards his chest. Yichu's black hair gradually turned blue, his skin became fair, smooth, and radiant, and his body even grew considerably swoosh, his clothes ripped, and his original 1.4-meter height ballooned to 1.7 meters. Phew. All done. Just one last step. Recondense my emperor's body. The blue-silver king let out a long sigh. He floated in the air, and the power that had flowed into Yichu's body began to surge out from the blue-silver emperor's mark on his chest. Continuously, a phantom heart slowly took shape, followed by meridians, bones, internal organs, and skin. A delicately carved blue-haired little girl phantom appeared in the air. Then, as Yichu's soul power flowed out and was injected, the phantom solidified. Yichu's soul power plummeted from level 26, down to 25, 24, 23, and finally reached level 20. Even then, the decline didn't stop, and his second soul ring began to vibrate. Crack. A crack appeared on the soul ring, and it shattered, its energy transforming into nourishment to fill the little girl's body. Finally, the little girl's body materialized, and she slowly opened her sky-blue eyes. Time passed quickly, countless days and nights turning. In the blue-silver forest, a little girl crouched beside a man lying on the grass. She murmured to herself, her voice clear and melodious. "Why isn't brother awake yet? It's all grass here, so boring here. Brother looks so handsome. Want me to steal a bite?" Just one bite, just a tiny bite." Yichu vaguely heard some voices, then felt a slight dampness on his face and smelled a faint fragrance. The bright light blinded him, and in a daze, he saw a beautifully sculpted little girl. She looked to be only a teenager, with long, flowing azure hair and a blue-gold dress covering her entire body. Her noble air was tinged with a touch of mischief, and her deep blue eyes were flawless, like crystal. In Yichu's perception, she was like warm sunshine, brimming with vibrant life. Finally, Yichu's eyes adjusted to the bright light and opened fully. To his astonishment, a little girl was biting her own face. What kind of rude girl was this? Before he could react, the little girl excitedly threw herself into his arms. Ah! Brother, you're finally awake. You've been sleeping for so long. Oops. The little girl fell to the ground. Yichu ignored her, pushing her aside and sitting up. Who are you? After looking around, his mind was a little muddled. Where is this, brother? What's wrong? This is the blue-silver forest. The little girl's azure eyes were teary, her hand still covering her bottom where she had just hit the ground. Blue-silver forest. Yichu slapped his head, finally remembering. Oh right. I was ambushed by that sixth brother of the blue-silver emperor. Brother, what's the sixth brother? I didn't ambush you. The little girl's voice startled Yichu. You're the blue-silver emperor. Yichu grabbed her shoulder, looking her up and down, his eyes wide with shock. Yes. I'm the blue-silver emperor that you rescued from the cave. Yes, yes. Even the voice is the same. Yichu kept fiddling with her, looking her up and down. He even lifted her up, muttering, how did you suddenly turn into human? Human. Don't go too far. The emperor, I'm not your toy. A majestic voice interrupted Yichu's desire to investigate. Looking around, all he saw were tall blue-silver grasses, and right in the center was the sixth brother of the blue-silver king. At this moment, the little girl Yichu was holding yawned. Brother, I'm sleepy. Then, to Yichu's bewildered surprise, she transformed into a stream of light and entered his heart. Yichu frantically touched himself. Where did I go? Wait. Oh my god, Yichu shouted, where are my clothes? Ah, the thought of lying there naked for who knows how long made him feel incredibly embarrassed and ashamed, as if the blue-silver grass around him was staring at him. He frantically pulled out a piece of clothing from his divine might space to cover his private parts. Seeing his private parts, Yichu felt a chill. No, this shouldn't be happening. What's going on? He lifted the clothing to look at the elephant, examined his arm repeatedly, and kept touching his face. Damn. How did I suddenly grow so big? He was still a child. In the original story, Tang San was 18 years old before reaching his current height. What happened? Yichu gradually calmed down and looked at the blue-silver king, asking. You should take a look at yourself and see what changes you've undergone. Yichu frowned, and the bangs hanging down his forehead made him look more alert. Blue hair. Quietly sensing his surroundings, he felt a natural affinity from the blue-silver grass around him. Blue-silver emperor bloodline. Ha. Before Yichu could even let out a wild laugh, his tender face turned even paler. My soul power is only level 20. Where's my second soul ring? Yichu jumped up, ignoring the cold wind on his backside. His heart was colder than his Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. He hadn't even warmed them up yet. He glared irritably at the blue-silver king before him. What on earth happened? The blue-silver king simply replied casually, what kind of attitude is this? Is this what you humans call getting a good deal and then complaining? Yichu felt like he'd punched a cotton ball, speechless for a moment. He had indeed gained a great advantage. Oh well, I can still get soul rings anyway. The blue-silver emperor bloodline is definitely better than soul rings. He silently took out his clothes, made a small apron for his lower body, and sat up cross-legged again. Now you can tell me what happened. Whoosh! A throne woven from blue-silver grass appeared before Yichu. The blue-silver king's voice rang out, sit down, my emperor. Its waist bowed respectfully to Yichu, a stark contrast to its previous demeanor. At that moment, all the surrounding blue-silver grass also paid homage to Yichu. What's going on? I woke up to find myself the blue-silver emperor. Seeing Yichu still sitting unmoved, the blue-silver king invited him again. Please, my emperor, take the throne. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.